think we're on. Hello, welcome to a brand new Dungeons and Dragons stream where we don't have any idea what we're doing. We are calling this Loot, Die, Repeat, and we love D&D, but as I said, we're amateurs, we're not voice actors, in fact, we're not famous in any way, we're just a bunch of schmucks.
I was on TV one time.
I think you're still a schmuck.
Man.
Still stands.
So we're not professionals. In fact, we're just doing this in my conference room. So very amateur. But we are hoping that you will grow with us as our show grows. We love some of the amazing D&D streams that are out there, like Critical Role and all the other excellent streams. And we've been playing D&D, some of us for many years, some of us for the first time. And we thought that as we play a new campaign after some of our dear friends went away and we're starting it fresh, that we would share that new campaign with you. And we hope that you will go on the journey with us. So what are we playing? Well, we're playing 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons, and we're going to have our campaign set in one of the classic D&D settings, which is the Sword Coast. We're going to use a heavily modified version of the brand new published adventure Dragon Heist, although, as I said, I'm going to be changing up lots of things, and along with a lot of homebrewed content and some stuff from the DM's Guild and maybe a couple other adventures that have been pre-published along the way. Now, as I said, none of us are voice actors, but we're going to do our best to play in character and perhaps sometimes use fancy voices. We shall see. But do be kind to us because, as I said, we are not professionals. We're just a bunch of dorks, especially Joe. Super dork. Right.
Speak for yourself.
True. I prefer schmuck.
I prefer geek.
I personally, if you know Critical Role, am a fan of Matthew Mercer's DM style. And so I'm not ashamed to admit that I'm going to certainly try to emulate some of what he does. And hopefully that will make our game even better. But enough about me and the game and us talking by myself. I want to just let our characters briefly introduce themselves and share how long they've been playing D&D. And so we're going to start over here to my right and just go right around.
I am Joe. I've been playing D&D for about a month. Yeah.
Long time. I'm Jake. I've been playing for about 3 years.
I'm Hannah. I come from a long line of nerds where I've been playing one-shots on and off for probably close to 10 years.
I'm Megan. I have been playing D&D for about 3 years.
I'm Rich. I've been playing D&D for a year.
I'm Steve. I've been playing for 6 or 7 years.
I'm Molly. I've been playing... This is my first campaign.
She's been playing for about 20 minutes.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll just kind of roll in, go with the flow. You know.
I'm Adam, and I've also been playing for about a month.
And my name is Matthew, and I've been playing for about 3 years. I've been a video gamer much longer than that, very familiar with RPGs. And so I'm going to pillage and steal all of the classic tropes as we play our new campaign. Yes. Now, if we had a fancy intro, we'd probably put it right here. And yeah, exactly. Thank you, Hannah.
Yeah.
And maybe one day we will. But now we're just going to jump right into the game. So let us begin. As the players can see on the map behind me, the Sword Coast, which is where our game is set, is a vast expanse of diverse lands in the northwestern corner of the continent of Faerun. And through the ages, sprawling empires of dwarves, elves, giants, humans, and consortiums of many other races and beings have ruled over these lands. And today, races of every kind can be found in small towns and hamlets that are dotted all over the countryside. Several large cities flourish at key locations around the region, and roads connect most of the larger cities. But those roads are always traveled at one's own peril, since there are hordes of monsters and thieves and beasts that are readily found throughout the domain. The Sword Coast is a wild place, teeming with loot, magic, and adventure, but myriad perils and death will be found for the unprepared. Are you ready, Rich? for this?
I count myself as dead already, so.
All right.
Little
Loot,
squishy.
die,
Yes,
and
very.
repeat. That's okay. That's built into the name of the game.
Yeah, you've already died like 3 times. Haven't even started.
Now, our story begins far away from civilization, in the midst of towering deciduous trees that cover the rolling topography of the southern forlorn hills. A light rain falls as a low mist covers the ground. It's the 4th month of the year, the 2nd day of Tarsik, which is basically our April. So the 2nd of April, but in the Sword Coast it's called Tarsik. And the biting cold of the winter months is giving way to the watering rains of spring. As the rain falls, thunder can be heard echoing in the distance across the waters of a shallow creek flowing out of the forest. The water is higher and moving more swiftly than usual due to all of the rains. And as the water flows along the rocks and the sand with an abnormally strong current, another sound can be heard, reverberating along the water, the sound of swift footfalls. Lithe yet steady and firm, the gait of a creature hurriedly running and following the course of the creek clearly resonates across the stream. Joe, would you please describe your character for us?
You see an elf of medium height and stature, standing just over 6 feet tall from the ground, weighing around 175 pounds. His skin is tan, with a somewhat bronze-like tint to it. He has a lean, muscular build, broad shoulders, and large hands, with a slim-cut torso and midsection. His legs are sturdy and muscular, with well-defined calves that effortlessly propel him as he runs.
You're an animal.
His head is quite large, but is not.
Yeah, it is.
You're not supposed to be describing yourself.
Right?
Not.
But
Let's go.
it is not disproportionate to the rest of his body.
Okay, so you're not a cartoon character, that's good.
He has long, smooth brown hair with a single braid and hazel eyes that seem to twinkle when he looks at you. His jawline is tight and with slick cheeks. Some might say he has a baby face. Some. The elf always dresses in his standard black leather armor, cut trim with gold threads. Over the armor, he sports a deep green hooded long cloak. His shadowed eyes, the upper portion of his face. He wears gauntlets cut with a golden eye on the back of each hand, the leather reaching the midpoint of his fingers. Boots and trousers are a common black set. He moves with grace and agility and always has his eyes on his surroundings.
Okay, very good. Now, as you can see, some of us are reading our descriptions just because we want to get them just so. Some of us are just going to wing it, and that's okay. This is D&D. This is how we do. So as our lone elf nimbly skirts along the slippery rocks and the thicket surrounding the creek, he pauses to take in his surroundings. Joe, would you roll a survival check for me, please?
Sure. It's going to be a 24.
Okay, yeah. So you know you're still heading south, and that this direction should run you right down to Succomber, where you can find caravan into Waterdeep, which is your destination. But as you peer around, something that you don't expect catches your eye. There, lying a short distance downstream, is a body. And from this distance, it doesn't seem to be moving at all, though it wears what looks to be old scale mail with muddy, blood-stained robes. It looks like a humanoid, though you can't quite tell from this distance exactly what this humanoid may be. What do you want to do?
Another fallen soldier. I'll try to revive him.
Okay. Before you do so, as you approach, you can see more clearly what this man looks like. Jake, would you please describe your character?
Yeah, I'm going to be one of the people winging it, and there's not much description because he's not much to look at. He's got blonde hair and a military haircut, but he's got a somewhat thick beard, so you know he's probably not in the military or he hasn't been for some time. He's got some scars on his arms where you can see, and he's got kind of blood spattered and mud spattered scale mail and robes. He's about, if you had to guess, 6'2", 6'3", athletic build, and what you notice is he's clutching in his right hand a broken longsword that is no longer a longsword, and in his left hand he's clutching a book, and you just think, that's pretty weird.
All right. So, as you approach this disheveled, broken man, please roll medicine checks, Joe.
13.
All right. Yeah, you don't really find any breathing. You try to feel for a pulse, and you're not quite sure, as you kind of heft him out of the creek bed, if you are able to, if you're feeling a pulse or not. You think he's probably dead. It's hard to really tell, but his body is strangely warm. So you think maybe he died recently. Maybe this is, and you kind of immediately check your surroundings. What do you want to do with the body?
Okay, so I'll bring it in towards drier land, and then kind of take a look at what he has in his possessions, what's gripped in his hands. So I take a look at it, not really sure what to make of it, so just really leave it alone. Take a look, but nothing really.
Yeah, so as you look at the book, you turn through the pages, and they look like empty pages to you. And as you go to kind of look at the sword, his hand is clutched to the sword. It's like almost as if rigor mortis has already set in. You have to cut the fingers off to kind of pry the sword there. So you don't even bother, since it is a broken sword after all. And as you are going through his stuff and looking at his broken scale mail, he actually begins to cough and just moan ever so slightly.
Are you okay? What got you like this?
Where am I?
Where are you?
Where am I?
You are in the Forlorn Hills.
How did I get here?
I just came upon your body.
You just walk up on strangers like that?
You were incapacitated.
I was just resting my eyes.
Looked like you were about to drown.
I was resting my eyes while swimming.
Anyway, what brought you here?
Oh, I was out hunting, and I don't know what happened. I don't know how I got here. I was out hunting looking for an albino stag. I got hired to do a job, and Who are you?
My name is Rygar, and I am on a mission. I am traveling to Waterdeep.
Uh-huh. What are you? You look like an elf. What type of elf are you?
I am a wood elf.
What's your name again?
Rygar.
I'm not gonna
Timberland.
remember that. I'm gonna call you Woody. Okay.
I like that.
All right.
I
Woody.
like that.
You and me are gonna be friends, but you need to answer this question.
Okay.
Are you a cultist?
A cultist?
Are you a dragon cultist?
No.
All right, let's get moving. Actually, 2 questions on top of that.
Okay.
Do you have anything to drink?
Well-
Anything harder than water?
Sorry, do not.
You freaking wood elves are all the same. And you said you're going to Waterdeep?
Well, I hope to travel to succumb to hop a caravan into Waterdeep, but that is my ultimate goal, yes.
Okay. I mean, it's starting to rain. You can see a storm's coming. You mind if I tag along?
Why not at all?
All right, yeah, I'd like to get back to Waterdeep as well. That's where the paying job was from. Yeah, and as you can see, I don't have a stag with me, so I gotta go break the bad news.
Let us be off.
Very good. So to Succomber they travel, where they find a job guarding a caravan to Waterdeep. Pretty standard to move through there. On the map, you are right around there. That's Succomber. And Waterdeep is up here. So you're going to be going up through here. And that's several weeks' journey to get there. Several 10 days journey away.
We're gonna become good friends.
Indeed.
All right. Well, the Flayer's Maw is one of the more well-established taverns on the market square in Waterdeep, named for the toothy, tentacled head of an illithid that hangs over the mantle. The Maw, as it's commonly called, has patrons that visit at all hours of the day. That said, brunch is not typically the Maw's busy time. So as things calm down in the late hours of the morning and the din of conversation and mugs clattering fades, the Maw attracts those who are looking for a quieter place to enjoy a beverage and some food and relax and work. In fact, the Maw serves various coffees and teas during this time, specifically for that crowd. They all drink with their pinkies up. Now, in the midst of this scene, the windowless, swinging front door of the Maw opens wide as a young man steps through, intent on finding his usual table. Rich, would you please describe your character?
Yes. In the doorway stands 6 foot tall, slender, human with a hood covering his head. He's darting around the room looking for his table. He's got light blue eyes, and when he finally settles on a table near the corner, his lithe body seemingly floats over to it. Coming from the outside, he's kind of covered in dust from the road, and he kind of dusts himself off, dusts off some charcoal, some road dust, and he unfastens his component pouches and his leather-bound book, and he sets it upon the table, and then he wearily sits down at the 2-seated table. He undoes his hood, and you'll see he's got shoulder-length brown hair, which he unfastens a leather strap from his wrist, and he ties it up in a
Man bun. It's a man bun.
no
He
man
actually
bun.
goes for the pigtails.
Nope, it's a manly ponytail.
Super manly,
Straight.
super manly pony.
It's a
With-
French braid.
With
It's okay.
with a couple of hair strands sticking out, real cool, like anime style.
Like over your eye, so you have to.
Yeah, so
So moody.
so I dramatically flick it out when I'm looking busy. He's got very thin, skinny body, high cheekbones, skin tight to his face, and he starts undoing his component pouches onto the table. Oblivious to what else is going on, he pulls out a feather, tufts of fur, some charcoal, some cured leather, a cricket, and a caterpillar cocoon, all littered all over the table. And and then he proceeds to go through them and flipping through his spell book, studying what are spell components.
So as the mixed smell of ale and coffee hits your nostrils, a familiar half-orcish woman approaches you. And her strong frame is outfitted in plain clothes and an apron that's kind of slung over everything. And as her dark black hair is pulled back into a tight bun, she kind of approaches you, trying to put a stern look on her face, but with a bemused little smile that she's trying to fight through. She looks at you and she says, "Vincent, this has been said to you multiple times. Please remove this rubbish from me table. You remove your crap, I bring you usual, yes?"
So Vincent pulls back that couple of strands of hair and looks up and goes, "How you doing, Stella? My apologies. You know how I get caught up in these things. I'll clean it right up. I'll take the usual. You have some spiced potatoes today?
But of course for you.
I appreciate it. How's your father doing? Haven't seen him in a while.
Yeah, he's having heart issue. You
Tell
know.
him I wish him the best.
Thank you.
If anything I can do, let me know.
That crazy barbarian, you know.
Yes, he's always traveling, getting into trouble.
Indeed. So, as you're waiting, your meal is being prepared, and so you're kind of continuing your studies. But as you're studying and really focused, all of a sudden, you're interrupted by a voice that you have not heard before in this tavern. And as you look up at the individual lightly crooning in the corner, more singing to herself than anyone else, you see a young woman, very easy on the eyes, with this captivating tone to her voice. Hannah, would you please describe your character?
So I'm playing a new one. It's a changeling. So she's a slender lady, 5'4", very tiny, pale skin, almost gray, almost translucent to a point. She's otherwise very nondescript. She's very vaguely she definitely could go either way, but very feminine once looking at her. She's just wearing simple brown robes, and other than that, she's just got a noticeable burn scar on her right shoulder going down the backside of her right arm. Like a long bob, a lob, if you will, of very pale white hair. And that's it. That's
Okay. Very good. So as this woman is there in the corner, minutes are going by and you're just kind of sitting there captivated. Do you wish to do anything?
She's playing her song to the patrons at the moment, or is she doing anything
People,
right now?
as she's begun to sing, people are definitely noticing her voice. And even Stella is there kind of cleaning and kind of pausing and just listening and continuing to clean. As she's waiting for your meal to be brought, and she's serving other patrons, and they all, several of the people who are there just kind of sipping their coffee and working. As you look around, you notice that, yeah, they're all pretty much taking notice of this woman who's seemingly not trying to draw attention to herself. Again, more singing to herself. She's not putting on a spectacle, but there's just something about her voice that draws you.
Okay. So yes, something does seem to pique my interest. Maybe like a tingle in the back of my mind, almost like magic, like tickling my soul.
Sure.
So
That's what it's
my soul.
That was deep, bro.
Is this when we do this?
That makes sense.
So Vincent, his attention all of a sudden brought to this creature.
And as you're doing this, Stella comes by with your usual orders: roasted spicy potatoes and a glass of cold milk.
Of course.
She kind of puts it down in front of you, and she sees your attention, kind of catching the young woman. Doesn't say anything, just kind of smiles, puts it down.
Hey,
Will this be all then?
well, one more thing. Stella, who is that lovely thing over there?
Quite lovely, is she not? This young one, she's been here 2 days. 2 days.
Today?
Not today,
Two-
but today.
Oh, 2 days.
You
2
understand?
days.
You understand me? Yes.
2 days.
Yes. She keeps the patron happy, and I am happy. And she's nice to look at. Yes.
If that's your thing, I guess.
Is that your thing?
Mm.
Anyway, her name is Jax, and I think it's Jax. That's who she is. And she turns around and walks away.
Okay. I'm gonna start eating my potatoes, but keeping my eyes on Jax for the
Anyways, here's Wonderwall.
moment. Nice.
All right. And so she continues to play, and she has kind of a little glass of something there that she's sipping on a little bit, and she has a lute that she is kind of plucking, and as if she's maybe writing a song or something, kind of picking up the melody and trying different notes. And you can see her kind of adjusting some of the she's not singing words that you can perceive. It's more of just the melody and tone of her voice is just so beautiful and flowing.
Okay. So I can't stand it anymore. Don't even finish my food. I stand up and I start walking towards her, forgetting that all my pouches and books and everything are on the table. I go back and grab them, and I hurry over. I go, excuse me, my name's Vincent. Could I join you? I couldn't help notice the lovely song that you're seeming to whisper to the tavern.
Alright. Well, what can you say? It's a bard's work is never started, nor is it finished. It's just one continuous song I'm always playing.
You're a
And you
bard. I
can
should have known.
sit
I'm
wherever you
sorry.
want.
Go ahead. My apologies for being rude and interrupting you.
Yes. I'm just gonna continue on my
Okay.
ditty and kind of
Are you gonna sit down next to her, or
no.
you just kind of?
You
Yeah.
stand there creepily. Just
Okay.
Well, can I have each of you roll perception, please?
It's my bad dice in a bad box. 12.
14.
Okay. So in the midst of this very brief conversation, each of you kind of notice out the window that a large crowd has gathered near the market center. And a voice can be heard yelling above the crowd, though the words are hard to make out. Vincent, you know a gathering like this is very unusual outside of a festival day. And today is not a festival day. So your interest is certainly piqued by the fact that there's a crowd gathering outside. Jax, you also notice this crowd and are intrigued. Perhaps opportunity for some coin. Perhaps opportunity to find some new friends. And each of you, for your own reasons, are pleasantly surprised by this development.
Well, it's been lovely, but a bigger crowd awaits a star.
Okay.
Wait up. I'm heading the same direction.
Okay.
I'm gonna continue on.
Okay. All right.
Why are you walking so fast? Hold on.
So as you kind of call back over your shoulder to Stella for your roasted spicy potatoes to go, and you quickly down your milk, you kind of chase Jax out the door, and end scene.
Theme.
So
Speak short to the point.
the portion of the long road between Anfale and Waterdeep is considered one of the safer roads in the Sword Coast. Anfale is essentially a vassal city of Waterdeep. Waterdeep kind of controls it, oversees it. And so the stretch of the road between the two towns is patrolled by the Waterdeep City Guard. And in order to protect the flow of food from Anfale to the sprawling megacity of Waterdeep, the roads are looked after pretty closely. Therefore, it's common to find singular travelers on this road going about their work pretty confident in their safety. But, you know, you can never be too vigilant. So not having slept at all during the 3-day journey, not even taking time to eat, our next character has kept an attentive eye to its surroundings the entire journey as his trusty horses faithfully pull his cart under his enormous weight as the birds are chirping around him.
So what you see is a nearly 7 foot tall, black rock metal thing weighing in at close to 400 pounds.
Ding, ding, ding.
Yes. Basically genderless warforged, who presents as male. And as he's riding in his cart, you can see his eyes are they're lightly glowing yellow eyes, but there's no pupils, there's no iris, just lightly glowing yellow. As he moves, you can see very dark, faint blue glow in between basically his metal stone plates, which are in the forms of muscles and bones and tissues and features. Donning his left arm, wrist, hand area, you can see even while he's comfortably riding his cart, he's got an actual shield appendage sticking out of his left arm. And nothing fills his right hand, but it's actually in a very tight fist, as if he's always ready to defend himself or others.
Or give gnarly fist bumps.
That's right.
That's right. Not really having seen anything troubling, this metallic marvel, undaunted at the lack of danger, continues to scan the horizon, always vigilant. And it is, in fact, a beautiful day as the sun begins to rise in the east over the Sword Mountains. The birds fill the air with their chirping, and the beautiful colors of orange and purple dance along the low, cloud-covered sky. Rays of sunshine glisten on the dew-drenched fields as a low fog remains along much of the countryside. As you continue down the long road, your path eventually merges with the high road. So the long road is the formal name, and the high road as they come to an intersection and merge and then begin to really run along the coast, very close, several miles journey to Waterdeep. You're on the last leg of your journey, and you should reach Waterdeep by late morning, in a couple of hours. While traveling closer to Waterdeep, you're taken aback by the sight of the Sea of Swords stretching out before you in the distance. The city of Waterdeep is situated atop a plateau, but the topography leading up to it slowly slopes down to the sea, giving way to gorgeous vistas of the sparkling waters. Would you please roll a perception check since you are so vigilantly scanning, even as you take in this beautiful surrounding?
Ooh.
3.
3.
There's a 2.
He gets a bug in his eye.
So as you're going, you are fixated on that ocean because it is so different than what you're used to back in the mountainous region of Amphale. And hearing your horses actually give a snort and a huff, you're surprised because they don't normally do that unless there's something going on that would startle them. And in fact, as you begin to look more closely at the creek that's kind of just over the little hilltop, you see that in the water below you, there seems to be a body face down in the water, kind of flailing about as if drowning. At least that's what it looks like to you. And as you quickly glance, and your horses are kind of off-put by this, you see this figure there.
And how far away is this?
About 40 feet.
Okay, immediately he pulls on the reins and goes, "Whoa!" Jumps off the cart and sprints, as fast as he can sprint,
Clank,
lugging,
clank, clank,
lugging
clank.
towards the water, and he yells, "Lady! Lady!"
So as you rush to the river's edge, there's no response. Again, face down. You can't quite tell even if it's a lady or if what it is.
Ding.
Everyone's a lady.
Yeah.
All right. He continues sprinting. As he reaches the water, how far away out is this?
She,
water?
the figure, which you think is a she,
Gotcha.
and as you get closer, the dress would suggest that it's a she, but you never know with some races, and they dress in all different ways, all different sorts. But it definitely looks like this figure is struggling in the water.
Yeah, I keep running into the water, directly towards her. I have run through water before, so I know that I can just keep going.
Yeah, you get to the water's edge and you don't hesitate to just plunge right into its depths. You can't really tell at all or care to tell how cold or hot it is. It doesn't bother you. You're just right in.
Uh-oh.
And as you wade chest deep into the stream, you come to this struggling body.
I don't even speak. I wrap my arms around her tightly and turn around and head back towards shore.
Roll an athletics check, please.
26.
Oh boy.
You can roll an opposed dexterity,
Go ahead and try.
acrobatics, or strength, or athletics. Acrobatics or
Whatever's your
athletics.
highest, you still
Ooh,
lose.
that was a good roll.
You said either Dex.
Yeah, athletics or acrobatics.
So 19.
Yeah.
So cool.
So this body is wet and slippery, and immediately begins to kind of wriggle as you go. But you snatch on tight, and as you seize this person, you quickly make your way back to the shore, plop the body down in the sand next to the river, feeling pretty good about rescuing this sorry person who was drowning in the stream. And as the feeling of pride begins to overtake you, you inspect this person who you've just saved from drowning, waiting expectantly for their thanks. Megan, would you please describe your character?
I play Melcine. If you can picture the grays and blues and greens of the ocean, you can picture Melcine. Her skin is the blue-green of the water. Is it blue? Is it green? It's hard to tell. It seems to be ever-changing like the sea. Her eyes seem to glisten as if the sun is reflecting off the water. And her long, flowing hair is the color of the aqua blue waters similar to the waters that surround her home. It flows and moves around her as if it is still underwater. As she walks, it's hard not to take notice. She seems to glide through a room. Saying she walks gracefully is an understatement. She walks in a way that seems as if she's not really walking at all, but merely floating from place to place. As graceful and eye-catching as she is, she wants to blend in. It's as if she doesn't want to draw attention to herself. Her glittering eyes are constantly taking in her surroundings, skeptical of everyone and everything around her. Her clothes are nondescript in order to aid in her attempt to not be noticed. However, if you are watching, you may see that she's wearing a necklace discreetly tucked beneath her cloak. A necklace that holds a gem so blue that it looks like it contains crystal blue waters within it. From the wear of her clothes, you can tell she has been traveling. It's not that they are dirty, but merely well worn from much travel. She carries with her a staff beautifully carved. At the top is carved the head of a dragon, a bronze dragon. And if inspected more closely, it looks to have a single dragon scale affixed to the top. The rest of the staff looks to be carved with cresting waves that look to splash at any moment. She has a look of unpredictability about her. She's graceful and beautiful, but seems hardened by her circumstances. You could say she looks resolved, that she has a sense of purpose.
I'm gonna have to loot that staff.
Amen.
You just try.
So, Mr. Warforged, as you look down at this bluish green woman, two thoughts immediately cross your mind. One, you've never seen anyone that looks like this before. And two, she is definitely not smiling at you in thanks.
Okay. Alright. He doesn't feel threatened, but he does go down on one knee and he says, Helm has shown favor to you. You have been saved from drowning. Congratulations.
What are you doing? Who are you?
I'm doing the will of Helm. Your life has been spared. Congratulations.
I
Thank yous are in order.
was swimming.
Did not look like swimming.
Swimming. Blue. Water.
Weird.
Are we standing in water? Are we at the...
You're at the river's edge.
So, like, maybe a little around our ankles?
Yeah, I mean, it's...
Okay.
Sure.
So, I am not happy with whatever is going on here. And so I cast shape water and freeze the water around the base of his feet so he can't move.
Okay, so you kind of do a quick little conjuration, mutter some words, and all of a sudden the water just freezes around your feet hold.
So I'm on one knee, so my one leg and my other foot are now frozen to the ground.
Well, they're in frozen water.
Oh, it's not bad. And I say, I am glad you are okay. I'm sorry that you weren't drowning.
And he drowns her.
Were you hoping that I'd be drowning?
I was hoping you would see the light that Helm has to share.
What are you?
Your savior.
No, but what are you? There's nothing.
Oh, I am Warforged. Get that question all the time.
There's nothing.
What are you?
I am of the sea.
No. You are here. The sea is here.
There is nothing natural about you.
He attempts to stand up and head towards.
Roll an athletics check to
Back
see
towards
if
his,
you break the ice.
19.
It's as if you don't even notice it's frozen. You just
Nice.
kind of stand right up, and you
Perfect.
stand a good 1.5 feet over Melcine as you look down on this little bluish green woman.
And I say, well, now that you're okay, I must be on my way down to Waterdeep, for Helm has called me.
And you hear the horses kind of neighing in just around the corner as you look, and you see a cart that is situated that would normally be big enough for maybe 3 or 4 people. But when you compare it to this hulk before you, you can see that he probably takes up most of it, though there would be room for
Bucket
some
of water.
some water.
What is your mission? Why are you headed to Waterdeep?
Actually, the mission is not clear as of yet. I'm heading down. It has been told to me that the message will become clearer.
I'm just
Pretty vague.
still a little skeptical of what's going on, but I also see that I might be able to get a ride out of this. So
What is your mission?
I'm a traveler.
You're traveling, or you are a traveler?
Both.
Where are you traveling?
Wherever I may end up.
And he starts walking towards his cart. Have a lovely day. Ma'am? Sir?
Ma'am is fine.
Excellent.
Is there possibly an extra spot in your cart?
What intentions do I see in her now that she's iced? Well, I didn't really notice the ice, but
Roll an insight.
Change that one out.
3. I throw so many punches at her.
And you died.
And hold smash. Yeah, so she seems rather pleasant, despite maybe some of the icy demeanor, and you don't detect any ill in her request. You think, you know what? This is a good deed that I can do.
Milady,
Yes.
what shall I call you?
Melcine.
Melcine. It's been recorded. My name is Hold.
Hello, Hold.
Hello. You may travel with me. I will only be on the road for a few more hours, but perhaps we could have a meal together.
We'll see, but I'll take the ride.
Helm will guide us.
Okay, very good.
So I walk to the cart. I hold out my hand for her to grab to get up into the back.
And I just jump into the back without his help.
Okay.
I say, you're welcome. And I get up to the front and
There is room if he kind of scoots to the side to sit up front with him,
Okay.
or you could just take all of the back of the cart, which is currently empty. Your choice as to where you sit.
I'll sit in the back.
Okay.
I like to just see everything that's going on,
Okay.
and I'm still leery of him.
All right. So Melcine hops in the back and is back there as you get in and give a little giddy up to your horses, and away you go to Waterdeep. Now, Waterdeep is known as the City of Splendor, teeming with life as individuals from every tribe, tongue, and nation fill its streets with the lively sounds of a city that never sleeps. Looming over the metropolis is Mount Waterdeep, a giant dark gray edifice into which several luxurious villas of the rich have been built alongside the city's inner castle. The mountain overlooks the town and the deep blue harbor for which the city is named. At the busy southern gate, traders, merchants, and travelers enter and exit the city as local magisters inspect the wayfarers and collect the necessary travel taxes. The morning fog has burned off, giving way to a beautiful shining sun that breaks through the cloud-strewn sky. Though the sun is shining now, the western horizon appears dark and swirling as another spring storm appears. It's the 18th of Myrtle, the 5th month of the year, well over a month from our meeting of Rhaegar and Eli. Flowers are in full bloom. Blossoms cover the trees as birds fly overhead and bees buzzily meander from flower to flower, pollinating away. Squads of city watch patrol the streets as the buzz of commerce and travel fills the air. Carriages and drays, pulled by horses, trot along the streets as people come and go as they please. You hear a young town crier calling out, "Today in the market, crime boss gets his just reward." And after a brief pause, he continues with his next message. "Ilvelios Seviliria, champion of the running games, challenging all takers in a foot race around the fields of triumph. Proceeds to benefit the rebuilding project of Illyria." And finally, after another pause, "House Samcathra supports young halfling couple to assume position as the new lords of Nightstone." He continues on, repeating those messages in a loop, over and over. And it's a very busy day at the gate, and the magisters have been hurriedly registering the arrivals through the entrance. And I'm just going to put a little map up here so you can see what the city looks like. All right, how are we looking there?
So is this
Good.
water deep now?
This is
Yes.
water deep. And so the southern gate is right there. All right. And that is where we are situated. By the way, market right there. And so that is where Jax and Vincent were at the maw, the Flair's maw. So a weathered-looking man, in his middle ages, wearing black robes, approaches the next in line, who has been quietly waiting her turn to enter. Molly, would you please describe your character?
Not a middle-aged man, but no.
No.
Oh,
The magister approaches,
got it.
who is in fact a middle-aged
Middle-aged
man in
man.
black robes.
Sorry. So you see a 5'7" Kalashtar monk. She has a lean appearance, but not in one that gives the impression that she is weak. Long blonde hair is pulled tight in a French braid that lands just below her shoulder blades. Her skin is a light brown, like the color of a perpetual tan. Her eyes are also a light hazel with a strange little spark in them. The clothes she is wearing is very indicative of a monk, except for, weirdly, the colors. While other monks stick traditionally to browns and gray, she is wearing a yellow kimono and deep red pants. Instead of shoes, she has wrappings on her feet and her hands. A small sword hangs loosely from her hip. No smile could be found on her face, but a serious expression would be. She is walking with a confident stride, although there is a slight hesitation, but it's her eyes that are constantly moving that betray her right now as she's trying to take in all the activity and showing that she is a bit overwhelmed.
The man looks at you as he approaches with a pleasant smile. He begins, "Marnin, I take it you've never been to Waterdeep before?"
No.
"Ah, a serious one then." And so he takes out his little book. He comes from him. "State your name."
Names. Why must that be the first thing that anyone ever asks me. Why a name rather than what's my purpose or what's my motivation in life? Names are just so pointless. But if you must write something down in that little journal, you may call me Sola.
What the hell are you going on about?
Going about man's purpose.
A philosopher. Ugh. I should charge you a tax now. Sola. I'm afraid to ask the rest of these. State your business. What brings you to Waterdeep?
A temple.
Oh, well, there are many temples here. Okay. How long will you be staying then?
As long as it's required of me.
Well, if you stay longer than a 10-day, you'll have to pay the tax. That'll be a silver.
Oh, I will let you know if I stay longer than 10 days.
Well, you don't need to let me know, philosopher. Just find one of us in the black robes and you can make the payment. That's every month will be a silver shard. Unless, of course, you pay in advance for the year and it's 1 gold coin for the lot. Next! He kind of waves you in. Has your name, has your business, and general understanding of where you're going. You can see that as you were talking, he was writing some other notes. But
I walk and I turn around and I see the mountain and a look of, just a brief look of sadness, just kind of like my serious face deepens into a slight frown and then goes back and I look around trying to get my directions.
yeah. So you kind of go on ahead and you are taking everything in, really just kind of wandering. And as this
Wandering
athletic...
in the wrong direction, might I add.
Yes, most definitely. As this athletic woman steps along, the Magister turns to the figure standing just behind her, next in line. Adam, would you please describe your character?
My character is about 6 foot tall. He's about 180 pounds. You'll notice almost immediately that he does have some small horns protruding from the top of his head. His skin is almost a reddish brown. It is more brown, but you can almost see streaks of red running through his pigment. His eyes are yellow, almost cat-like when you peer into them. His appearance otherwise is very much, you wouldn't even notice him. He tries everything possible from his black clothing to his hood to his cloak to stay as hidden as possible. The only personal feature that really stands out is you'll notice there's a large scar that runs down the entire left side of his face. Other than that, you might occasionally see a tail appear underneath his cloak, but he tries very desperately to keep it hidden.
Another tiefling then, is it? State your name.
My name is Morthos.
Just Morthos.
Morthos, it is. If you must know it, it's a Morthos Luge.
Morthos Luge. State your business and what brings you to Waterdeep.
I'm an investigator from Neverwinter. I am here tracking a murderer.
Are you connecting with the Watch?
Connecting with the Watch, yes, that is one of the places I would like to visit. How did you know?
They investigate murders as well.
Ah, that would make sense, I guess.
Roll deception. Or persuasion, whichever one you're trying to do. I don't quite know.
That's a 6.
Where will you be staying then, specifically?
I do not know where I will be staying. I do not know this town very well. Do you have a recommendation? Where would you send your friend or family if they were staying?
Probably. Well, depends on which friends. Different friends go to different places. Elves like to stay with elves. Dwarves with dwarves, especially the dwarves. The Maw's a nice place, central.
Can you point me in the right
Flair's
direction?
Maw, it's up in the market. Anyway, where are you coming from then?
As I told you before, I came from Neverwinter.
Ah, I missed that. I'm sorry. I was too busy. Anyway, if you stay longer than a 10 day, you'll have to pay the tax.
I do not plan on being here very long.
You're going to solve the murder fast then, are you?
I am very good at my job.
You better be, Tiefling, Marthos. Find one of us in the black robes. If it gets to the 10 day, make your payment. Next! He pushes you along. Now, Sola, as you step into the busy street, you see more people around you than you've ever seen before. And you wander along, you accidentally bump into one of the passers-by as you take in your surroundings. And to the northeast, you can see an eclectic-looking neighborhood over here with various different types of architecture. Some seem to be dwarven design with hard angles and strong foundations, while others seem to be more elvish and woven into the trees that surround them. Several inns and taverns seem to be perched atop stables, beckoning to the weary travelers who've just arrived. To the southwest, the smell of the ocean hits your nostrils as you see several people hauling fish up from the docks. The buildings that make their way down to the sea are far more weathered and run down in this district, giving the sense that this is a poorer area than the rest of the city. Soaring high above you, you see eagle-like creatures with feline bodies circling the city. As you squint against the sun, you think you can even make out riders atop them. And framed against the backdrop of the mountain, whose slopes go down to the sea, a massive stone statue stands. And as you look, there seem to be others randomly placed about the city, larger man-made objects than anything else in the entire metropolis. The statues are frozen in place and standing what seems near 100 feet high. As you follow the main road north, swarms of people pass you by and you get lost in the wonder of the city of splendor. Now, Morthos, knowing how big cities work, being from Neverwinter, you keep an eye on the crowd as people begin to pass through the registration lines, and knowing that where there are crowds, there are often thieves. Roll a perception check, please.
13.
As you peer over the crowds, you spot that naive-looking woman who is in line in front of you. And as she stares wide-eyed at the city around her, you notice what looks to be a street urchin with a dark blue hood up. The figure saunters over to the woman and accidentally bumps up against her. And with the skill and precision of a practiced pickpocket, relieves her of her coin purse. Sola, can I please have you roll a perception check?
19 plus 5.
You are taken in, it's with disadvantage, by the way. I forgot to say that, because you're looking all around.
15.
So, the person bumps into you, and you continue looking around. Morthos, you see what was going on. You see her pickpocketed. What do you do?
I think I will trace after the pickpocket.
Okay. So
But
you...
I want to do it without trying to draw attention to myself right away.
Okay. So you immediately... The pickpocket is just kind of blending immediately back into the crowd. Again, very practiced. And you begin to follow behind. And Sola, as this red-skinned humanoid who was behind you, who you did notice when standing in line, moves past you very swiftly. You can see that another figure ahead of him looks back and sees him and just begins running. And the red-skinned figure that was walking nonchalantly immediately picks up the pace and starts running as well. And as your hand casually falls to your side and brushes past your belt, you suddenly realize with a gut-wrenching, sickened feeling that your coin purse is gone. And you think you know exactly what's happening, playing out in front of you.
Can I go?
What are you going to do?
Look, that money was for the poor. And you over there. The truly rich enjoy what they have. And I chase after him.
And as you hear this corny pun being, corny proverb said behind you, you kind of look back and see the athletic-looking woman giving chase now to this other figure ahead of you. And this figure, seeing you, begins to dart in between the different carriages and drays, which are like double-decker carriages that are leading up the main street
Do a
of...
couple flips off the carriages.
Yeah, absolutely. So you are kind of running up this main road here at top speed. And, yes, very good. The old monk run. I need each of you to roll athletics checks.
Can it be an acrobatics for me?
Acrobatics
I'll do
instead?
flips.
We're going to get to acrobatics.
Athletics, that's a 9.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Oh.
That's a 7.
So each of you kind of get, you're not used to running through a crowded space like this, and you each kind of get caught up in the crowd. However, the thief in front of you isn't faring much better, having rolled a 4, and didn't see a carriage coming and had to stop real fast in order not to get run over. This figure immediately cuts back out of the main thoroughfare and kind of bursts through one of the little market stands that were set up, all Assassin's Creed style, trying to throw you off. And each of you just kind of fall right after and jump through. I need you all each to roll acrobatics checks.
Ooh. 25.
Ooh. 12.
Okay,
It wasn't
Morthos,
13.
you run and you go into a dive and you land and roll and immediately back up into a full sprint, closing the gap on the thief. Sola, it's a little less graceful. You kind of do like a runner's sprint, and like you're clearing a gate at a track meet. You kind of run through and land and immediately keep running, able to make the hurdle without it affecting you at all. I need each of you to roll perception to make sure you're able to keep this thief in view.
Morphos goes blind.
6.
21.
Morthos, you begin to lose track of where she is as she's going into this crowd, continuing to run up this main road. Sola, you see exactly where she is, and you, as Morthos pauses, trying to catch his bearings, you sprint past him, and Morthos, as you follow Sola, you see, there's the thief, and you both continue again. And it's just a dead sprint, and you can begin to see what comes into view ahead of you, an opening from the main road as you have been chasing, and this looks to be a larger market square in front of you as you see kind of where the end game is. Need each of you to roll athletics to see if you can catch up to her.
Cocked. Between 17 and a 7. So
We'll
then-
take the 17.
Yeah, right. Oh, 15. 14.
14, okay?
8.
8. All right.
I have no athletics.
Okay, so as the thief is running up, Sola, you actually catch up to the thief, and you grab the back of the thief's shoulders, and you pull back the cloak, and it reveals a more tightly fitting, deep purple hooded cape with intricate magenta and mauve embroidery. The figure glances back at you and is wearing a black mask that covers the upper part of her face. As she slips out of the cloak and away from your grasp, with a smile and a laugh, she looks at you and takes your coin purse and just flings it behind her into the crowd.
I kind of yell at her, money buys everything, except for good sense.
CENTS.
So as you redirect, as you try to grasp her again, Morthos comes up behind. Morthos, you saw the money go flying, and you kind of catch the coin purse. And Sola, you kind of look back and you see the red tiefling catch the coin purse, and you immediately look back to the thief, and as you do so, she seems to have disappeared into the large crowd in front of you. And you find yourself in the middle of this market square at the center of Waterdeep. Now, as you look, you begin to hear a person yelling out, gathering the crowd to come in. It's normal to have a crowd milling around the giant open-aired market in the center of Waterdeep, but today, unbeknownst to you, is different. While a caravan unloads its wares near the market stands, and various carriages amble through the streets, the crowd isn't moving around seeking to purchase produce, meats, and all other manner of fine goods available like they typically do. Instead, the majority of bystanders are remaining still, standing on tiptoe, and watching the spectacle unfolding before them in front of the central square. Public executions are a rare occurrence in the City of Splendor. Usually the City Watch carries out death sentences behind the walls of Castle Waterdeep, away from the eyes of the public. But today is being celebrated, and the city has been invited to observe as the City Watch and paladins from the halls of justice carry out the punishment of this criminal. They have captured, tried, and sentenced several high-profile criminals, one in particular who has long plagued Waterdeep. They've done this in order to send a message to the city. They want to make clear that the public will be kept safe and criminals will be punished. As the gallows loom behind them, several members of the City Watch stand astride the 3 convicts who are being executed. All 3 prisoners are manacled with their hands behind their backs and dressed in gray prison garb. The first 2 have already had their list of charges read to the crowd. They're 2 male thieves. One, a frail and trembling halfling named Lennis Flax. And the other, a red-bearded, proud-looking dwarf named Thorig Branross, who seems to almost have a slight smile across his lips. The 2 killed a noble they were trying to rob with their dragonborn compatriot. The dragonborn was killed in the assault by the noble, who defended himself but couldn't overcome all 3 of them. The other 2 accomplices escaped for a time until being captured recently. Because this was a noble who perished, they were now being made an example of. Near the front row, flanked with a full accompaniment of their own personal guard, stand the noble Blackwood family, awaiting the death of the 2 who murdered their son in his room during a soiree about 2 months back. Close by, is a young halfling woman with her 2 young crying children by her side as she yells out that he's been framed! He's been framed! As nearby guards seek to calm and quiet her. The third figure is a looming half-elf or half-giant Goliath, whose prisoner outfit barely covers his chiseled frame. A guard is currently reciting his long list of crimes against the city as he stands there, bloodied and beaten into submission. Due to the multiple counts of the aforementioned crimes of arson, robbery, extortion, rape, and murder, and for being known as an assassin within the crime syndicate known as the Xanathar Guild, pursuant to the dictates of the Code Legal, Yavo the Cruel is hereby sentenced to death by hanging. May tears, justice rest upon your soul. With that, a cheer goes up from the crowd as the 3 prisoners are led to their respective nooses. Eli and Rhaegar, you've been listening and watching this spectacle as you've been guarding the caravan that's unloading its wares near the back of the market. Morthos and Sola, after you lost sight of the thief in the midst of this crowd, your attention was captured by the execution before you. Hold and Melsine, as you proceeded through the market, your path was blocked by the large crowd, so you've stopped your progress, waiting and watching for the execution to play out, thankful that justice will be served.
Damn right.
Vincent and Jax, you had previously moved out into the crowd along with most of the other tavern patrons when the execution was getting started. Clearly taking in from the beginning everything that was going on. Do any of you wish to do anything or position yourself in any specific way?
Does he still have my money bag?
Did Morthos has the money bag, yeah.
I do want to do something.
I'm going to just elbow Rhaegar, who I've gotten to know a little bit better while we're unloading. Just kind of go. It's kind of sadistic what they do. These hangings for sport.
Does this happen here often?
Haven't been here that often, but for how long I have been here, no. They usually don't do it in town.
I've never seen such an event like this.
Yeah. I mean, you can just look at the 2. The little halfling's crapping his pants right now.
It is quite cruel, and the excitement among the people.
Yeah. You're
Rather
all sick.
disturbing.
You're all sick. Weirdos. Should we get a front row seat?
Let's do it.
All right.
I turn to Morthos and a blind person who sees is better than a seeing person who is blind. And I hold out my hand.
Oh gosh, do I hear that? While you're doing that?
No, you do not.
Darn.
I will give her bag back, but I would like to first I should say, do I feel if there is a lot of coins in the bag itself first?
No, it actually feels pretty light.
You take it anyway.
You know, I want
Look
to.
over there. Huh.
Look, something super boring.
Right.
I reluctantly would give it back.
Thank you. Your justice is heartwarming.
I do not care about what you think is heartwarming.
I turn around and I start scanning the crowd when I come upon this halfling woman crying, saying he was framed, and I want to approach her.
So you hear her before you get there.
Oh, yeah.
Anyone else doing anything?
Yeah,
So by the way, just for our purposes
yeah.
here,
Where
and
is the
we'll
thing?
fix this in a bit. The gallows is situated up here. Okay. I didn't bring out 100 different minis for the crowd. But you can imagine the crowd being around here,
This is gonna be tough.
right? The Blackwoods are kind of up front here with their own personal guard. And then there are the city guard kind of on either side. You have a caravan unloading over here. So I'm going to put you guys are there. This is the Flair's Maw right here. Okay? And so we have Jax, you're there, and that stinking ponytailed guy.
It's creepy.
It's just kind of standing right behind you.
you
You can't
like
tell.
over my
You
shoulder.
can't tell if he's watching the execution.
I feel that right now.
Can't tell if he's watching the execution or just the back of your head.
It's a
Um,
pretty hot bag.
But he has his owl perched on his shoulder.
Even worse.
Morthos and Sola, you're kind of at the back of the crowd over here, where you've just kind of caught, and you hear what's going on with the woman more than seeing, and it's a pretty tightly packed crowd. It would be very difficult to make your way up to her. And finally, Hold and Melcene, you have kind of on your cart here stopped, and you're sitting in your cart, both of you, which actually elevates you above the crowd a bit as you were kind of watching. I didn't bring a cart, but you know.
Feel shorted.
Sorry.
Yeah, me too.
So that's where your current position is. Does anyone else want to do anything?
I come out of the tavern as we're hearing all the beginning parts and they're explaining all the crimes, and you know, as I see who is on the stage, I get somehow even paler in the face. No, I'm gonna shoot towards the front, kind of elbowing my way through the crowds. No, like run,
Okay.
but not like a dumb person.
Roll a athletics check.
Oh.
I'm not gonna be that. Athletics.
Yep.
11.
Okay, so you begin to start fighting your way, and you're having a really hard time of it, but you are kind of making your way forward. And we'll pause right there for you. Anyone else doing anything?
I'm gonna start following her after I situated all my.
Roll an athletics check.
I hope he moves more smoother than you, actually.
I hope it gets further.
Oh no, it's a minus. It's a 12.
So you are kind of keeping up with her, though. Again, it's super hard to make it through this crowd.
I'm just trying to yell to her like, "You're about to see something not pretty in this town. Maybe we should just head back to the Flair's Maw and discuss magic."
All right. So as the prisoners have burlap bags placed over their heads and are forced into their noose, the crowd goes silent with anticipation of the demise of these criminals. Rhaegar, Melcene, and Vincent. While the vast majority of the people are fixated on the execution, each of you notice a strange light begin to flicker far above you. As the reddish purple light begins to grow in the sky high above you, a light fog cloud begins to emanate from its center. The light quickly grows into an ovular shape, and a figure clad in silver armor and crimson robes floats through the light and into view. The figure has jagged shoulder plates that come to asymmetrical points above his head. A jagged silver helmet fully obscures its face, with a long, flowing black cape that billows behind it in the wind. Before anyone else seems to react, the figure raises its arms as two more glowing points of light begin to shine forth in its armor-clad hands. In an instant, several other glowing portals of light open up in the sky, and winged creatures begin pouring through. Several look like giant birds with the head of a stag, their ebony horns twisting up into the sky. Several smaller creatures that look to be made of fire, ice, wind, and various other elements begin swarming down towards the crowd, their small wings trailing dust, snow, fire, and other debris as they descend. Finally, the silver and crimson figure joins his hands together, and the portals unite as a huge black dragon emerges from the enlarged portal with a white-haired rider wielding a staff atop the dragon. The dragon flaps its enormous wings with its huge white horns curling down toward the crowd and immediately lets out a ferocious roar. At this heart-rending sound, everyone's attention is immediately drawn skyward, quickly followed by gasps and screams as the crowd begins to scatter and flee for their lives. I need everyone to roll initiative.
Oh,
I
boy.
cast Fallen Cloud first.
So this is gonna be one shot.
It's
Because
too
we're all
early.
gonna die.
Yowza.
No shots roll.
Wow.
I'm dashing towards it, so I don't know what you guys.
All right. So, 20 through 25.
22.
22 for Sola. All right. 15 through 20.
19.
Eli.
15.
16.
Okay. So Jax.
Nope.
Not Jax, Melcy.
Melcene.
Melcy.
Oh, I'm sorry. Melcene, then Vincent. Okay. 10 through 15.
14.
14 for Morthos.
11.
11 as well.
11 for Jax, and Hold. I believe Jax's dex is higher than Hold's.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
What did you roll?
Rhaegar.
3?
A big 8.
Rhaegar. And what was Tony's roll?
15
A
plus.
bird rolled higher than
Oh,
you.
Oh, yeah,
A
yeah,
bird
yeah.
That's a
awareness rolled
16.
higher than I did.
Okay, Morthos, you were
14.
Yeah, and Vincent, you were
I was 15. My bird was 16.
nice. Okay,
Go get him, bird. Go get him.
Bird.
Because he can fly above the crowd.
Of course.
You creep.
That's the reason.
Great.
I rolled a natural 20.
Well, that should probably
That's weird. I didn't hear a roll.
Yes, but he's only using his enemies tabs. He's not using the boss tab.
The boss tab is not to be found up here, is it?
Oh boy.
Exactly. So they're all easy.
So you're telling us there's hope then?
Yeah.
So
No,
this,
it's gonna kill
It's
us
a
all.
dragon.
you
It's a
you
dragon.
are all taken
It's a friend.
off guard by this immediate appearance of these creatures, and they have a surprise round.
Yay!
As these bird creatures, they swoop in and immediately they just grasp several of the fleeing townsfolk and they bring them up into the air. There's probably about 10 of these bird creatures, and multiple of them grasp these townsfolk, fly away, just beginning to rip at their flesh.
Oh.
Gross.
Cool.
The mephits, these elemental creatures, they engage other of these townsfolk, letting loose various different elemental blasts of fiery, icy, windy, dusty death upon the crowd. Several of the guards who were guarding the criminals rush to the aid of the townsfolk. Meanwhile, the Blackwoods, who are front and center with their personal guard, they immediately begin to retreat with their personal guard forming a protective wall around them. As they flee, the silver figure raises a hand and points forward at the gallows as a point of energy explodes out of his finger and impacts on the gallows, and a fireball erupts, essentially disintegrating the gallows and flinging all of the people atop there in multiple different directions. Their bodies lost in the crowd. As the flame blinks out of existence, you can see the Goliath has broken free of his manacles as he pulls himself back up from the wreckage of the gallows. Meanwhile, the dragon swoops down and unleashes an acid breath attack that essentially melts half of the crowd.
No.
Their bodies just laying there in this melting goo. Each of you are on the outskirts and coincidentally avoid all of these attacks, but the Mephits in particular and the birds are clearly about to engage. Round 1.
Fight.
Fight.
Yeah.
My God.
Get over here.
At the beginning of the round, the creatures are engaging. I'm going to put them out so you can see where they are. Give me 1 second.
Hey guys, do you feel well prepared for this level 1 fight?
I know, that's what I'm thinking. Dragon.
Yeah.
Dragon.
Mephits and some sort of...
Meth heads. Oh,
They don't take
those are easy.
They take damage for days.
Holt has never tried to grapple a black dragon, but is willing to try.
We'll have to throw you up there somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone
400
pitch in.
pound throw.
Let's build a catapult.
Is that a moose? It kind
Might as well be.
No, that's probably a dragon because it was flying.
No, but there's a dragon over there.
There's
These
more than
right
one.
here are the flying bird creatures.
The ones that are
So yeah, part
picking
moose.
the flesh.
It's a flying caribou.
How high up are? Oh, I'm sure you'll tell.
High enough that we can't do anything.
Do you have any wise saying about going
Maybe.
balls to the wall?
Yeah.
To the window, to the walls.
Not that. Not that.
To the sweat.
Where does it drip though?
Well, I am pretty
P-
androgynous.
PG.
Use your imagination.
Heck was that?
Nothing important.
I have a lot. Oh my gosh.
Okay. That's what you see.
Tell what's
Everything.
The guy in the blue capes, are they
I
town
give
guard?
up.
So
Any enemies?
these guys, the yellowy ones and the blue ones, those are city watch.
Okay.
The armored ones are the remaining living city guard. They're kind of more heavily armored.
Okay.
I did not put on here. I put on one of the personal guard of the Blackwoods who are all fleeing in this direction,
Okay.
Pansies.
who conveniently avoided the breath weapon attack.
Oh,
Um,
of course.
This is
Or they
a
planned it.
this Periton up here
Ah.
looks larger and stronger than the other ones. Actually has 2 people in his grasp, and basically just flew up in the air and then dropped them. This one over here is a more typical Periton.
Which one?
Uh,
You're moving on.
Yeah, that one right there.
That one. Got it.
Okay, and so they
Right there.
that one. Do you?
Well, that's what the
With
world
the
does
glasses.
to you. I was gonna say, I see
Yeah.
3 lantern pointers.
You can't be drinking
got
before
it.
you do
I'm
damage.
sorry.
Jeez.
This tea really good.
This-
About how far off the ground are they?
So the Periton up here is about 25 feet up.
Oh, okay.
These Mephits and and other Peritons, they're all between 10 and 20 feet up.
Okay.
Okay. So the first thing that happens is just an attack from these Mephits, essentially going after the people around them. They're not. It's clearly just an assault on the fleeing townsfolk.
Okay.
So they go. Some of them fling firebolts. Some of them slash with claws. Some of them breathe out their elemental blasts. You are all on the outskirts, kind of watching this all unfold before you. One thing, however, that happens immediately is you hear in the distance what sounds to be an explosion. But not an explosion like the fireball went off. It's more of an explosion of electrical energy. And out of the corner of your eye, you see a flash of light that goes off. And immediately a green gold light just begins to emanate from somewhere in the west of the city. That just expands and expands and expands and expands, almost as if someone set off a type of EMP blast.
Oh, jeez.
Stay alive until it hits her.
And as the energy sweeps past you, you feel absolutely nothing. But you immediately notice that the dragon above you gives off a roar and just begins to shake its head wildly, and the rider tries to steady it. And where the dragon was coming around for another attack, it immediately about faces and just begins flying directly in the opposite direction of this ward that has gone off.
I want that way.
Seeing
I think
this,
it's the city.
the figure clad in silver immediately takes his hands apart, and the large portal, which you can see other things were beginning to move through still, disintegrates. And he looks back and takes down the other portals and basically recedes back through the one that he appeared within, and it winks out. All of the mephits,
Silver and maroon cloak.
right, all of the mephits and peritons remain, but they are all that is left as this dragon flees into the distance. And Sola, you are up.
Of course, the hesitation of why I didn't rush in. When the dragon appeared, a little flicker of fear went in my eyes until I saw until I heard the townspeople just screaming and defenseless, and justice for the weak. And I also yelled, "Get to safety, quick!" And I advanced 30 yards north and to the map's left. Yes.
And this mephit is on the ground with its back to you as it is harrying a helpless citizen that it's just slashing, and the life is clearly ebbing out of this creature. With its attention away from you, engaged with another character, as you approach its back, you are considered flanking it.
Okay. I will first attempt to slash it with my sword.
Yes.
Advantage, right?
You have advantage on the roll.
Oh, let me grab 2 dice. This doesn't take forever.
Oh.
17.
17 hits. Roll your damage.
8.
8 damage. You slash it through the wings and the back, and immediately a thin line of lava begins to protrude out of its hind quarters, as you've clearly hurt it quite bad.
After I heard it, I quick do an unarmed attack. Do I
Go
still
for
have
it.
advantage?
You do.
Both the same thing.
Those are both 9s.
15.
15 hits. If it was a 6, would it have hit?
We don't roll 6s.
Oh, you don't roll 6s?
No, they weren't actually 6s.
Okay.
Don't roll 6.
I know Sola is honest about that.
8 again.
8 damage again. As you slash it with the sword, you follow it up with a roundhouse elbow to the back of its head, and your elbow smashes through as if breaking a brick that you've done 100 times, and the magma's head just explodes. And as it does, I need you to make a death save.
Oh.
I'm sorry,
Death?
a dex
Oh.
save.
It's like
you're
a
dead.
dot?
And you're already dead.
Well, I mean, lava did fly out.
Yeah.
Fair.
Another
10.
9.
10?
That was a 6. 10.
10. That is exactly what you needed to take half damage. So
Alright.
as you elbow it in the head, it explodes, and as the magma comes out, and you quickly turn so it doesn't get your face and your most vulnerable bits, but it splashes across the back of your kimono, and you take 1 magma damage.
Oh wow.
Okay.
I could live with that, you know?
Is that equivalent to like fire damage or?
Yeah, it's fire damage.
Okay.
All right, Eli, you are up.
Justice.
I don't see any in front of me, do I?
So you would see this guy there.
Yeah, but can I get to him?
Yes, because the crowd has essentially been either burned to death with acid or is fleeing. There are paths to him. You also see this other magma method right there, kind of up in the air. That
What about that red thing right next to that
I
town
was
guard?
thinking one of
Yep,
that guy back there.
That whatever that is next to the cart.
Yeah, that's another method there. That one looks to be made of stone.
I'm gonna go after that one because I can get flanking.
Oh, I see. I'm sorry. This is an ice method up here.
Yep.
I was pointing
down
the wrong one. That guy is a fire, and this one's flaming fire.
Okay, I'm not gonna go towards that one. That looks scary. The ice one that's in front of me.
Yep.
How high off the ground does it look?
It's 10 feet off the ground. You would not be able to reach it with your sword.
Okay. Then I'm going to kind of get to the corner of the building right by me. Right there.
Back behind you?
Yeah, right there. And I'm gonna take aim with my crossbow.
Okay.
Assuming I have that. And I'm gonna shoot the one that's 10 feet off the ground.
Okay, so you put your shield away. You've never unsheathed your sword. You just take your crossbow out and take aim at the ice method.
Yep.
All right, roll your attack.
That is a 16.
That hits. Roll your damage.
That would be a 6.
6 damage. Nice. As the bolt just right into its side, and you see the ice crystals just kind of break off of it and trickle to the ground. As it drops in the air for a second, but then it's ready to catch itself again as it continues on. Doing anything else?
If I could get further behind the corner.
You can back up if you want.
I'm basically looking to try to cover my body and just peek around the corner.
Yep, you can get to there. Okay, Melcine, you are up.
How close can I get?
So you're on the cart here.
Yeah.
You can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You can get to these squares up here,
Okay. Let's do that.
which would put you within 30 feet of this
Yep.
guy here
Mm-hmm.
and this guy there.
I could reach that guy too, even though he's in the air.
I'm not doing the Pythagorean theorem to see if you can actually hit him, but I'm going to say yes.
All right. I want to try and use my thorn whip to pull the guy out of the air into the ground.
Okay, roll your attack.
Okay.
That's a 9.
That does not hit. So as you conjure the water begin to drip from the seaweed that appears in your hand, and you fling it forth, and it just misses wrapping around its ankle as it continues to fly, oblivious really to the attack from behind. Tony, you are up. Tony, of course, is
I can picture.
your little owl here.
Right. What's the nearest thing near Tony and I?
So you have a magma method immediately to your right, and a fire method, both of which seem to be engaging these guards. Above you, you see a periton and another magma method flying up.
Oh, magma. I'm just going to telepathically instruct Tony to attack that flying creature.
The
Yeah, that one.
okay, so he a familiar can't attack, but he can he can distract,
Distract,
like
yeah.
a flyby.
Mhm.
All right, so Tony flies up and flaps in the creature's face, and then immediately flies away. They have 50-foot fly speed, so for the sake of it, I'm going to say he flies up and then immediately returns to your side.
Okay.
So the next attack on that Periton has advantage
Okay.
because it is considered distracted. I'm just going to mark that. Are you going to attack it right away?
Yes.
Okay, then I'm not going to mark it.
I'm-
It is now your turn, Vincent.
Okay, I am going to cast Chromatic Orb,
Okay.
and as an ice element, so I'm going to pull out my diamond, and
Yep.
actually I'm going to pull my cloak over my head, pull out the diamond, and aim it at the creature.
All right, make your attack with advantage.
18.
18 hits.
It's going to be 3d8. Come on, your d8s, please.
Mm-hmm.
9.
9 total damage.
Correct.
Okay. The ice ray smashes into it as the diamond focuses the energy into a thin ray, and as it does so, you can see the ice cover the muddy form of the creature, and for a second it begins to fall like a stone out of the air before its wings break free, slow but still staying aflight as it continues, now turning to the one who just attacked it, clearly seeing you in its sights. You have movement if you decide to take movement.
Yes. Can I move back towards the door of the Flayer's Maw?
You can. You can, in fact, get into the Flayer's Maw if you would like.
I will stand inside the doorway, yes.
That sounds good. I'll have that.
Okay.
Book it!
Potatoes!
Yeah.
She's gonna grab it.
Look at
He
potatoes.
pulls out his
some of
to-go
their
container.
spicy-
Carbo love.
Milk.
I
Where's my
have to
milk?
get my food because it's ready and
All right.
I
Very
gotta
good.
go.
forgot to leave a tip.
Hey.
As you do this,
So on a diamond
all of the
dash.
methods now engage, and the mud method that you just shot at begins to fly at you, not seeing you, but seeing Tony back where you left him.
Oh, no. Chicken wings.
Goes to
You're good,
attack.
Tony. You're good. You go get him.
You got this, bud.
Goes to attack Tony, and that
That's
is a 12.
Ooh, 11.
So he hits, and Toady, instead of there being blood, he just winks out in a explosion of arcane energy.
Oh,
Wait, he's
man.
dead?
First one to die!
I
Alright.
can,
That's what the
I
people
can
are looking
bring
for.
him back whenever.
Dead magical bird.
That's
That's
whatever I want.
right. This is what we do here. We die, and we repeat. Alright, the fire and magma method, they attack the nearest guard together. The magma method getting behind, the mud method flying down. They have him surrounded. 2 17s in a row on a die. And a crit. And he
Dies.
is
Yeah.
dead.
He's super dead.
Alright? The other methods in the back.
They are helped. They're dying.
They go and attack.
Right, instead of us.
Yeah.
This is true.
Put a lot of thought into Jarvis. I would really hate to kill her off right
He
away.
goes down.
I want like a 5-page backstory on
That's
so
why
sad.
Oh well.
Forever remember.
I'm already thinking about my next character.
You should be. As we learned last week, our backup characters are already dead.
Poor Tony.
He'll be back.
Okay.
Goodness gracious.
I'm not happy about this.
Decimating them.
I know. It's like these are.
This
It's only one round, guys.
Ridiculous.
Maybe,
So he says he doesn't want to kill us.
Miss. Miss.
So we basically have one round of life And then the second one, we're dead.
Yeah.
I will survive.
He doesn't want to kill us.
I will survive! Yo, I'm
All
the
right.
bard.
No
here.
worries.
Morthos,
And I was
you're up.
gonna
You just
go for
lost
I'm a
followers?
survivor.
I don't think so.
Stay low.
We were in sync.
We were like same.
She was Lance. I was clearly Justin there.
I thought he was Timberlake.
He's Timber.
Oh yeah.
Timberland. Timberland.
He's dead.
The rapper?
Ah, you
Can I
finally
move?
put it together.
Timberland.
Morthos would like to move diagonal 30 right behind the red fire breathing, whatever the heck that thing is, by the cart.
Talk a little louder.
Up here to that one?
Yes.
Oh.
Gonna talk a little.
Ballsy move, Cotton. Let's see if it works out for him.
Talk a little music.
You can get to there, which is not a flanking position.
Alright.
But it is sneak attack because it's engaged with the City Watch.
Oh,
19.
That hits. Roll your damage with sneak attack damage.
give me that.
That would be 13.
13.
Woo!
As you jam your sword in the side of its throat and then pull it back, you basically decapitate its head as it explodes in a fiery ball
It's fine
of
with me.
death. Roll a dex save, please.
But I'm resistant to fire.
That is true.
Oh. You should have rolled.
You're not that resistant.
It's a 1.
Hmm?
Crit fail?
Crit
that
fail.
was a crit fail.
A crit fail. Okay, so I rolled 4 on the d4, but because you're resistant to fire, that's halved to 2. Because you rolled the crit fail, it's doubled back up to 4, so you take 4 fire damage.
Change that one.
Wants to
Okay.
do that, but not the Pythagorean theorem.
Yeah.
At least that was.
Carry the 2.
Yeah.
As that fire method is dead. Good. Jax, you are up.
How many evil guys are between me and the right side of the stage?
All of them.
You see a fire method, a mud method, a magma method.
All
You
right,
see a-
I will not
You
be
see a
going in that
paratime up in
direction.
the air, eyeing.
I'm gonna run
Thanks.
towards the front of the stage, just at 30 feet.
Go to the stage, like always.
No.
It's calling me.
Let me sing a song for coins.
Who is within 60 feet of me that I can attack evilly?
You have a air method. 10
I want
feet.
that one.
Hmm?
I'm just gonna string curses as I'm running towards the stage in a frantic run. Just looking all about, kind of looking for specific things, seeing where everything is. My string of curses is random, not exactly an insult, but definitely just kind of cursing everything around. So I'm
Like
gonna still
curse words or like.
get a little. It's just at this point, it's just frantic letterings. It's like when you key smash and it's an ampersand.
Got it.
Couple of numbers
So I
on
need to roll.
psychic.
I need to roll a save.
Oh, wisdom saving throw.
That's a 17 on the die. So I make the save.
Man.
But you can roll a perception check to see what you see.
Okay. Oh
Oh,
no.
just throw it in there.
I'll still 7.
Do better.
I should have taken that one. 9.
9 perception.
Yeah.
You look around at the wreckage of the gallows, and there are singed bodies all around, mostly townsfolk. You see the halfling that's there, that is still manacled, face down, barely moving, though not dead. Trying to kind of crawl away, and you see no sign of the other 2 prisoners, at least with that perception roll.
Okay.
Hold.
All right. The flying creature that's closest to me, I guess.
So you're here.
About 50
That would
feet
be
away.
up there, yep.
Yeah, what is that? What's it look like to me?
That looks like almost like a giant hawk, but it has the head of a deer with kind of high antlers and it,
Caribou, yeah.
red eyes,
How high
kind
up
of
is it?
sickly fangs. It's about 15 feet up, though it's kind of soaring up, and it dive bombed before in its attack. But it's about 15 feet up, kind of, in the midst of circling back around.
Great. I'm going to snap the reins on the horses,
Okay?
and they're going to go straight ahead, 60 feet.
60 feet straight ahead.
That'll put me just about underneath
Well,
that
I'm going to
thing.
say with the horses, because for people fleeing, you're essentially rough terrain.
Okay.
So you can roll an animal handling check to see if you're able to pilot it through without having to take half distance on your
20.
Yeah, you are able to pilot through.
Driving over people.
You're able to avoid people, and you're actually very polite. You're kind of like Fezzik in The Princess Bride, like everybody move! and you're kind of doing your thing, weaving Bugden, and 60 feet straight ahead.
No, straight towards that.
Straight towards this.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so, right towards the end, as I come up from underneath him, I'm going to stand up.
That puts you literally right underneath him.
That's right. I'm going to stand up, step on the back of the seat behind me,
Okay.
and attempt to...
So that puts you
Grab
about
him.
5 feet up. You are 7 feet tall.
Yep.
You can reach up to like the bottom of its feet.
Yeah, I'm stepping onto the seat and jumping up to try to grab him from the air.
All right. Roll your athletics check.
Roll the pin.
Go, hold, go.
Yeah.
25.
25.
Hold, go, hold.
Two.
Hold, go,
Okay. So you grab on the bottom of its ankles and
Eat
just
it.
yank it down.
Yes.
As
I'm
you,
gonna take
it's flapping its wings. It's flapping its wings, trying to get away from you, but you are holding it fast in place right there.
Excellent.
All right, very good. Rhaegar, you are up.
So I arm myself, take a few steps back towards the tree line, kind of situate myself under a tree if available.
Yep. You see Eli there, kind of cowering in the corner. Not really.
I can't say that word. Yep.
And then I also see what Hold has accomplished, so I am going to fire an arrow at that enemy.
All right, make your attack. It is held, considered grappled, but not restrained, so it's a normal attack.
Okay. Ooh, it's a 17.
That hits.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Went from a 5 to an 11.
Yes. 8 damage.
8 damage,
Plus.
nice.
Plus.
I'm sorry. 12 damage.
12 damage, even
Excuse
better.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So your arrow, like a pro, you kind of run back and slide down into a crouch, steady your aim, and loose the arrow, and it just finds its mark straight in the breast of the creature. Still flapping its wings, and you've shot many things in your day. And while the creature seems to wince from the attack, somehow, some way, it didn't appear to take the full force of your arrow, as if it somehow resisted this non-magical attack. Crazy how that works.
That's weird.
Yeah. Having been grabbed and grappled, the creature just goes to bite you, Hold, as it is being held there. Cannot get away, goes to bite you, and that is a 10 for the bite attack,
Miss.
and that is a 17 for the talon attack. And
Hold
so you're
last.
holding it, and it goes and it bites your shoulder, but it cannot find. It just gets its beak mangled by the metallic mass of the plate on your armor. Its claws, kind of like going across a chalkboard, cannot do any damage to the softer parts of your exoskeleton. The other Periton, however, looks out and sees what's going on, and begins to dive at the knight kind of right below it. And he goes down, picks him up, flies up, and just drops him.
Oh, jeez.
Oh my god.
Is he okay?
Is he okay?
Yeah. He lands on
Hey,
his
hey,
feet.
you
He got up
okay?
and walked away. He's like a cat.
He limps it off.
Yeah.
All right. The
Just a
other
flesh wound.
the other peritons, which were farther up in the sky, there's about 6 more of them. You look up now, having your attention on these flying creatures, and you see that there are other flying creatures that come in and begin to actually engage them. They look like
Oh.
they look like eagles with
The eagles are coming.
with feline bodies.
Why, you fool?
And atop them are riders that are actually flying past and slashing at the peritons as they go. And there's about 15 of these riders that have come very quickly to the aid of this town, perhaps too quickly for normal response, but for story purposes. They're there because they were flying Overwatch on the public execution that was going on. Yes, that's why they were able to respond so quickly. And they have these creatures engaged as they're trying to free the townsfolk from their grasp. So those other 6 don't seem to be an immediate threat to you guys and the other townsfolk that are there. Sola, you are up again.
As I'm gonna go in flanking position to north and 1 yes. And as I run, I see the dead bodies and a kind of an anger burns in me.
Yeah.
Advantage.
Advantage, you are flanking.
Woo!
Crit?
Crit.
All right, 2d6 please on this magma method.
And get ready for the damage you're gonna take when it blows up.
Oh yeah. 5, and then I do add my short sword.
Yeah. So that is your short sword damage
So 9.
plus your 4 is 9. Okay. And then you follow it up with your unarmored attack.
Correct.
Unarmed attack.
Oh.
12.
That hits.
Nice.
Roll your attack. D4.
Ooh. I'll take it. 8.
8. So again, this time you come with an overhand slash, and as you do so, you follow it up with a front flip and a downward kick right onto the shoulder of the creature, and you land on your feet just as it explodes in front of your face. Roll a dex save.
Ooh.
8.
This time, because of your forward flip movement, you're not able to quite get out of the way, and you take the full force of the magma as you take 3.
Oh! I don't add the +4?
No, dex save.
Saves are all up here.
Yeah.
Oh, 10.
You take half of.
I'm not expecting this.
Yes, you see it and duck
Which means I
this
probably shouldn't have
time
taken
as it
damage last
explodes
time.
above
No,
you,
had to
just
take half
raining
damage.
raining down the magma on the back of your neck, taking 1 fire damage. Half of 3 is 1 in D&D. Okay.
You
Very
will
good.
not be forgotten. Jump out of the way.
Eli, you are up.
I see that. Is that an ice method? The blue one right there? That's about 25 feet
Which
away
is the
from
one
me?
you've already hit, yes.
Yep. So I'm going to stow my crossbow.
Yep.
Pick my shield back up.
Yep.
And I'm going to draw my sword and I'm going to run it against my calf and ignite it with lightning damage. And I'm going to move 25 feet and attack the one I already hit.
Okay. You can just barely get there. That's your full 30-foot movement. I'm sorry?
Can you take off the one that I killed?
Oh, yeah.
So thank you. Just so we don't forget.
We're gonna win this fight. I don't care.
It was cocked.
It was.
Almost.
Almost.
Oh, that'll work. 18 plus 5. That hits.
That hits.
And I also roll elemental or no?
Yeah, you roll your lightning damage, your D4 with it.
So that is a 5-7.
Okay. As your lightning crackles across your blade, you swing through and it just is a clean sweep like a knife through butter as its body for an instant kind of shifts and then explodes in front of you. Roll a dex save, please.
Nice.
That'd be a big old 7.
So you take 4 frost damage as the ice just peppers the front of your face. But the ice method is dead.
Nice.
Nice.
All right, very good. Melcine.
Did you make a good team?
I want to move up enough that I can get to the one that's closest to Vincent.
This
Yep.
here?
Uh-huh.
Who's
All right.
Vincent?
Yep.
I don't know you.
I don't know him yet.
You will.
Not quite that far.
Creepy dude staring.
I want,
That-
so,
that
yeah,
looks
I
about
want
half on
to
now.
see if I can use my thorn whip and pull him into that stuff.
Yep. Roll your attack.
Okay. 14, 20.
20, that hits.
5.
5 damage. You let forth your seaweed snare again. This time it wraps around the mud method's neck, and you yank it, and like a potter molding clay with one of those, it just kind of right through the neck, and the muddy, dripping head plops off, and it explodes in a muddy explosion, coating some of the bodies around it, but not otherwise hurting anyone else.
Sweet.
Melcine
Nice.
has her first kill.
Put it on the board.
Put it on the board.
All right,
Put it
very
on my
good.
tab.
Tony
Yes.
is dead.
Yes, he's back.
That's
Matt.
a good one.
Hmm?
I do with my pencil. I am keeping
track
of my kills.
Vincent.
Vincent is up.
Seeing that, or realizing that Tony did not come back, Vincent kind of loses his cool, throws open the tavern doors, and is surprised to not see anything coming at him. So
You see a mud method explode in front of you.
I go out of the tavern, let's say like 15 feet straight out,
Okay.
and I'm gonna aim at the flying creature above me. Yes.
Okay.
And unleash. So I'm gonna start doing the hand gestures and
Me
The
or
one that you're
flying
holding.
thing? Me or the flying thing?
the flying thing.
Oh, that's good.
And start doing the vocal components of magic missile. I'm gonna launch 3 magic missiles at it.
Okay. So you conjure 3 glowing energies of force that fly out in odd angles, and then all in an instant just force their way in and explode on impact on the wings of the creature being held there. It lets out a screech as this damage clearly is hurting it far more than the arrows. Roll your damage.
13.
13. Okay, very good. All right, and so it's trying to stay aflight as it's just being pummeled. And as it does so, it is desperately trying to attack Hold again, trying to get away. The
It gets
beak,
another attack on me?
yeah, you're still holding it. That's a 24 to hit.
It's his second turn since I grabbed it. That hits.
Okay, and that is 6 piercing damage to you, and then it is an 18 with the talons.
Miss.
And again, talons as it bites you kind of in the neck and finds a gap in your armor plating. It continues to scratch at you wildly as you're holding it, not having nearly as much control over its talons, and it's just not finding any gap in your armor. The other one looks down and begins to dive bomb again.
Of course it does.
Yep.
Picks him up, skewers him through the side, and drops him dead.
Oh, we do not want to mess with that
Wow.
thing. We do not want to mess with that beautiful creature.
No.
All right. It is now Morthos' turn.
Of the 2 that are directly to my right, do I know which one of them is stronger? by just gauging?
I don't know.
You can roll perception check or investigation. Investigation.
Yeah, that's a big that's a 6.
6. They both look pretty dangerous to you.
Alright, then I will move into the flanking position of the one in the middle.
That guy there.
Yep.
Okay. Roll your attack with advantage
24.
and roll your sneak attack damage.
Rogue. Yes.
That would be 14.
14 damage.
Nice.
You skewer it with your sword, and it lets out a low moan as you go in for your second attack with your unarmed attack.
Oh yeah.
Roll also with advantage.
21.
This time, as it's moaning, you get it on the other side of the throat and wrench it back as its head is dislodged. Only has 1 hit point left.
Alright.
Dislodged, and it immediately explodes in a bludgeoning pile of death. Roll your dex save.
17.
17. You take 1 point of bludgeoning damage as it covers you with stone, but you're able to avert your face, and it kind of glances off your arms and legs, hurting, but not nearly as much as it otherwise would have. All right, very good. Morthos is done. Jax, you're up.
Alrighty, so turning facing the white one and the brown bird to my left, I'm gonna cast Thunder Wave.
Thunderwave.
Yeah, so you need to Constitution saving throw.
So these here,
No, to the other side.
these ones here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Stay away from the fire guy.
All right. So the guard is in range of
The hell
that.
with him.
What if I like kind of angle so my arm goes in front of the guard? Because I'm standing next to the guard, aren't I?
If you moved,
Yeah, I didn't know I could move with it.
if you moved there, you would get them both.
Yep.
And avoid the guard.
Yep.
All right. So they each roll a con save.
Yep, I didn't realize you were standing behind
The
me.
magma rolls an 18. The
Yeah.
air rolls a 5.
Alrighty, so on a failed save, the creature gets 2d8 damage. That is an 11 and gets pushed back 10 feet.
11 for the magma.
Yep.
Okay.
And a successful save, they get half the damage and is not pushed. I'm reading the player's handbook. That's why.
Okay. The air takes it and then looks at you completely unfazed by this thunder damage. The magma method, however, explodes
Oh, nice.
and is dead.
Okay. Oh, and that emits a large boom.
It does. And so as the shock wave goes forth, you all hear this loud crack of thunder. Thinking
Sounds
again,
super powerful.
oh my goodness, is there another fireball that went off? Is there some other explosion? And you see standing there, kind of her shoulders breathing heavy, with an air method standing in front of it, a young woman with this magma method that quickly explodes after from the force of the thunder wave.
Y'all a little turned on.
Hold.
Didn't see it at all. So have we fallen at all? Are we going down at all? Or are we pretty much still floating or going up or what? What is this bird doing with me?
You are holding it in place. It cannot. It's attacked you. It has not tried to get away. It's just trying to. Basically, it thought it could overpower you and kill you and get away, but you are not dead.
And
so
how-
you're still holding it.
How tall is this creature? Like from where I'm holding to its back?
Roll perception, just to be able to really get a good.
18?
Yeah. So it looks to you that it is about the size of like a flying horse almost.
Mhm.
Is best you can picture it because you're so used to dealing with the horses.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, just like mounting a horse. I'm gonna attempt to
Yep.
use my strong
Oh
grip
my
to
God.
try.
Totally should.
Get
Yeah.
on the back of it.
All right, roll athletics
Just like
to
mounting
try
a
to
horse.
climb up there.
Air fight.
13.
Air fight.
13,
Aw.
Yep.
12.
No!
So you
It's
grab,
like
you get on its
Texas
back,
Roadhouse and you're
and it tries to
ready.
flap under the pressure, and immediately just brought down to the ground under your weight
That's right.
as you
That's
are
the plan.
as you are
Nice.
clamped onto it. It's not prone. It's like standing up, but it cannot gain flight with your 400-pound figure on top of it.
Right.
Get on its back.
So, I guess on our way down, I'm going to punch it in the face. In the side of the head.
Roll your attack.
I'm going to attempt to anyway. Oh! 15.
Hits.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
that's face punch.
7.
7
Bludgeoning.
damage.
Bludgeoning.
Okay. Bam.
Yep.
It
hold it with one hand.
takes the force, and you've punched things before
Clearly.
Yeah.
that
For
have done much damage. This
I've heard this
hurt
before.
it, but it doesn't seem to take as much damage as you otherwise might have.
Okay.
Rhaegar, you are up.
Okay, so I'm gonna stay where I am because I can still see the one enemy remaining by the stage, correct?
Yeah.
And I'm just going to, without thinking about it, fire.
Yeah, take your attack on the air method.
That is 17.
17, that hits.
Oh man.
Man, that's another 12.
12.
Nice.
All right, so as your arrow pierces into the
Okay.
back of
Okay.
this method, it appears to just go still for a second, and you can, the swirling air around it just goes dead, and then it kind of implodes for a second before it explodes outward with the force of thunder. And I need Jax to make a dex save, please.
Oh,
Okay.
Jacksonian.
17.
That passes, so you take 2 thunder damage as it explodes out from you.
What's explode? Oh, that guy.
Yep.
2 damage.
2 thunder damage because you made the save.
Yay.
Very good. The Mephits in the corner all go to attack. Swarm the other guard.
Oh, he dead.
Is that you over there? Behind me?
Yeah.
You think I can make
He's
the
dead,
bird
by the way.
the big
Yeah.
bird fall
Dead?
to the ground?
No, not him. The one that's next to me, the one I killed.
Yeah,
That guy.
yeah. Very good.
Yeah.
That mud Mephit reels back and blows out a breath weapon in front of him. I need you to make a dex save.
Even though there's a guard.
They're both making the save.
Oh.
Freaking crit.
Crit
Target
fail?
Crit fail. Yeah.
Okay, so
Twice today.
Ouch.
you are
Dead.
completely restrained. You cannot move, and you take 8 bludgeoning damage as it floods you.
Brutal.
As it floods you with this spout of stone and mud.
You took
I'm
that
dead.
too,
You're down?
you know?
Down.
You're incapacitated.
Can't believe the guy in front of me didn't take the brunt of it.
He did. He's dead.
He does not exist anymore.
He's
All
actually
right.
eviscerated.
That's all of them. Sola, you are up.
I
You see this guy who gave chase along with you go down.
he gave me my money back. So I will I'd like to go to the do those guards move at all or no?
Yeah, I mean they're on their turn. They have been taking attacks. I haven't been playing it out, but yeah, I mean
So-
he was engaged. I mean they're trying to help people get out.
Okay. So I'm not gonna get a flank from him.
Right.
I would like to go to the right hand side.
Over there. Over here.
over there
Yep.
more, but closer to the bad guy.
Okay. So this one here.
Yes, to
Okay.
that one there, and then one to the right one. Yes.
So you run around behind it?
Yes.
Okay.
And then not a sneak attack, right?
Correct. It's not, you're not flanking it. But
Okay.
Make your attack.
I
So it's normal
will-
attack. Yeah.
Short sword it.
Right
16.
That hits.
6. 7.
7 damage. That damages it. You slash it across the back. Your sword kind of catching a little bit as it goes through the mud, making its way out and trailing some mud behind it.
And I follow it with a kick right to its temple.
Go for it. Roll your attack.
17 plus 6.
That hits.
7.
7. And you finish yet another one. As it explodes, I need you to roll a dex save.
Plus 6 this time. Oh, crit!
Success?
Yeah.
Okay, so you completely avoid the restraining action that it would have had on you. You take 1 bludgeoning damage.
I'm really fired up from all these people that are dead.
Yeah. As your eyes kind of glow with anger, you are just pummeling these things away, just with extreme precision with your martial arts, taking them out one by one. All right,
Can I
Eli.
put that big
Can
back
I
on?
get to the
I'm
one
gonna
that
clean up.
Holt is holding?
Your master me.
No, you're, I think, at 35 feet away. Yeah, you're 35 feet away.
We fall at an angle.
Huh?
We fall at an angle towards you.
Yeah.
That's the way the wind's blowing.
Well, I'm gonna move, I think, towards Morthos, who's down, correct?
Oh yeah.
Yep, he is down. And you did see him go down as he was fighting against these creatures.
Do I have my thing?
Not yet.
Okay.
Level 2.
I'm gonna go towards him,
Okay.
stand in front of him,
It's this mysterious thing.
and I'm going to
I can't wild
stow
shape
I've
my
never had
shield
my
and
thing.
Try to-
sword, and I'm gonna shoot the big guy.
Okay, up top to the Periton up top. Roll your attack.
Actually, no, I'm gonna do the one Holt's holding.
Okay, roll your attack.
That hits 19.
19 hits.
That's a 5.
5 damage. Okay. Arrow or bolts in its side. It's starting to slow down, not beating as hard, trying to get away, looking around frantically on the ground with just hate-filled, burning red eyes. Melcine, you are up.
I want to move toward. Did I see?
Roll perception.
Yep. Can I guidance myself?
No, that would be an action. I mean, you can, but
No, it's okay. It's all right. 18 plus though.
yeah, you heard this this belch of mud that caught your eye as you watched a guard go down, and then a tiefling kind of fight against it for a second, and then crumble as well.
I don't really know this tiefling, but I see that he's aiding and trying to help the people.
You do see with that perception, you see that the face of the guard that was in front of him
Uh-huh.
is pretty much just bashed and
Okay.
gone, having
Okay.
taken the full blunt force. The tiefling is there with just a very slight
Okay.
motion to his lungs.
All right. So I want to move towards the tiefling, about 20 feet
Towards the tiefling?
towards the tiefling. Yep.
That's 20,
Yep.
20 feet right there.
Uh huh. And I want to healing word the tiefling.
Okay, that is a bonus action.
Correct.
All right, roll your d4.
So 5. And then can I use my thorn whip to try and gently pull the thing hold towards
I
the
don't
ground?
Holt
Right.
is holding the
Hold is on its back, like piggyback style, just kind of clamped around it.
Okay, but
And
it's in the air, right?
No, it's on the ground.
Oh, it's on the ground.
Yeah.
Oh, see, you're not gonna fall. Um.
Soft landing.
Okay, I still want to use my thorn whip and
Yeah, go for it.
go for it. Do I?
Roll your attack.
I was gonna say, do I have advantage or anything?
You do
Because he's
not,
being helped.
because technically you're not flanking it with him.
True.
What is he
But
prone?
does he?
He's not prone.
He's sitting
Grapple?
standing.
I think his legs are broken.
Okay. 12 plus 6, 18.
That hits. Roll your damage.
5.
5 damage.
You've no additive to that roll?
This
No,
is
it's
a
straight
is a
D6.
thorn whip magical? I think it is.
It is magical. Hold on.
If it
I'm
helps,
pretty sure.
it is.
I mean, of course it
definitely-
is.
It definitely is.
Out of
It's a spell,
shadow.
Yeah, it's a spell.
Yeah,
it's a
I'm pretty
spell.
sure it is.
And it is. So you do your seaweed goes out and wraps around its horns, and you pull on it and pull on it, and at the same time hold grabs onto its throat and rips it back. And as you
Yes.
pull, the horns snap off of its head, and the brain matter just oozes
Ugh.
out as it goes limp and holds its
Second
breath.
kill for Bessie.
I'll count that as mine too.
Just
Yeah.
Very good.
And because it's already dead, Thorn Whip's piercing damage.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, very good.
Magical, so whatever.
That was Melcine. Vincent, you're up.
I'm
can't
seeing this
unkill it.
chaos erupt around me. Creatures falling left and right. I'm gonna run straight towards Hold.
Okay.
He seems like a
he seems like a nice
Solid
guy.
guy.
interesting character.
He's a salad guy.
Ray Zelinsky.
And seeing that I'm too late to help kill this flying thing that I was attacking before,
You're like, oh man, I was just about to end
I was
his
gonna
life.
kill him totally.
Because you got to him first.
Do I see any threat near me?
You see the Mephits, a group of Mephits that have not yet been dealt with,
Oh.
and you know the lead Periton is still in the air. As other bodies of Peritons begin to fly out of the air, and before they hit the ground, they're caught up by the Griffins to protect the people below. These Griffin Knights above, Griffin Cavalry, you don't know the names of them, what they are, seem to be pretty legit up there.
Alright, I'm gonna stand behind Hold and then launch Fireball towards the, what are they, Methods?
So this is a Flame Mephit, Mud
Meth
Mephit,
heads.
and a
Meth
Magic
heads.
Mephit.
Not towards the flaming one.
Stay in school.
Okay, make your attack.
It's a 15.
That hits. Roll your damage.
Fantastic. That's a 9.
Okay.
9.
9 damage on the Mud Mephit. Is that what you said you attacked?
Yeah, anyone but the flaming one.
Yeah. So the Mud Mephit, which is just kind of he's on the top of like on the edge of the gallows area that had been destroyed.
What'd you get?
All right, very good.
Fireball.
Turned him into
It is now the enemy's turn as they.
Mud Mephit.
Wait, this one is actually the Periton. The Periton, watching what's happening below, seeing its friend's antlers hooked off, it begins to dive towards Melcine.
Oh, crap.
Do I get an opportunity attack here?
You do not. It has flyby, so it goes down.
I tried.
It's
I
a
tried.
24. Hits you
Oh
and
no.
picks you up.
Splash.
Wait, no.
Puddle on the
Dang it.
ground. I start raining from above.
Ew.
And because you were farther away,
Yeah,
it gets about 20 feet up in the air and has you in its grasp. It has not dropped you
of
yet.
course it does.
But you're about 30 feet up, 20 to 30 feet up in the air as it is soaring up, going to drop you. And it is now Morthos' turn.
gosh.
I need a death save from you, Morthos.
Don't I have
No.
help now?
Oh, I'm sorry, you were healed, yes.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
Sweet. So,
You are welcome.
guess
Stay
I
up
do.
there
I
a
look
little
over.
bit.
I look up in the sky and
I
say
know.
thanks as she's being carried away.
Oh, thanks for that.
What's it's just the 3 up in the corner there?
Yeah.
And the one holding me.
Yeah, but you're 20 feet in the air and he's a melee character.
Oh, yeah.
You're screwed.
You're the only one who could.
Well,
No.
it might kill me actually.
Wow.
So it's half of your movement to stand up.
All right, let's do
What's
that.
that?
Yeah, stand up. I forgot I was that changes everything. Yeah. And then let's. Who's in front of the gallows?
Me.
That's Jax there.
Jax.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
So I have 15 feet of movement, right?
Yep.
All right, let's move 15 feet towards Jax.
Okay. 15 feet closer to Jax.
Am I within 30 feet of the fire creature? Is that,
If
Yes,
you count
20,
diagonal.
25, yep.
does that mean I can pull my crossbow out, my hand crossbow?
What's, yeah, yes.
Because it's 30.
Because it's 30, yep.
Love it.
It is not sneak attack, it's
Right.
normal attack.
So that would be a 24.
That hits.
And that's a 10.
10, nice. You sink your bolt deep into its back and it immediately turns towards you,
Yep.
kind of sputtering. Jax, you're up.
I yell, "Come back."
Alrighty, I am going to. You shot the fire one, right?
I did.
Alrighty. I'm gonna first of all move 30 feet away from the gallows towards the big flying bird.
Towards the big flying bird.
I
Yep.
know. So uncharacteristic. Ooh, not that close. Whoo! Let's back it up. Maybe, yeah.
Okay.
I saw what Morthos does, and it was very inspiring. Plus, I'm kind of a little pumped up from my gnarly 2-person kill. I'm gonna bardically inspire him by saying, "You get him." So, go get him, sucker.
That's a good one.
So
Yeah.
Marcos, you are
I'm
inspired.
a
You have a
little-
D6 you
Yeah.
can add to
Slap him on the butt a
any
little.
roll that you make in the next 10
There you go.
minutes.
Is that inspiring enough for
Molest
you?
him a little bit.
Yeah.
Game time.
I'm gonna.
You know,
I'm
pretty
pumped
good.
up.
Very good.
Pumped up.
Slap him on the rear end and
Yeah.
say, "Go get him."
So you get a.
That's a bonus. That's a bonus action.
And it's gonna be a stretch, but I am going to. How high up is that bird?
He's within 60 feet, if that's what
Is
you're
he
asking.
within 30 feet?
He is not within 30
How
feet.
close do I have
I
to be
thought you
within
said
30
It's
30
not even
feet.
20 feet in the air.
Straight up.
Right. She's
Fine, then I get close.
Pythagorean
So we
theorem.
are doing the Pythagorean theorem.
Well, I mean, if it's close, I'm not. If it's evident that I don't have to.
Whatever.
Fine, then I do take a little so that I'm within 30 feet. I'm so psyched up. I'm not even thinking clearly. But I am going to cast Tasha's Hideous Laughter at the bird.
The bird.
It's gonna
Okay.
fall on you and crush you.
It's
Is
going
it?
to drop
We're
me
gonna find
onto
out,
her.
aren't
I'm so if it's
That's
only
what's gonna
25
happen.
feet, I
You
might
might-
slightly so that if it falls straight down.
True.
It's a creature of my choice
Right.
that I can see within range.
Don't miss and cast it on me.
I know. You have to succeed on a wisdom saving throw.
Yep.
Rule check.
This is also my
If we had sponsors, this is when we would mention them.
I have to. I have to see
Thank
if its
you.
intelligence is
Wink,
above
wink.
4,
Time for shoutouts.
Thanks for all the people that.
which it is.
Are watching?
Yeah.
Is Kevin
Okay.
watching now? No.
That's a 16 on the die. Wait, I didn't check its modifier.
Minus.
It's a wisdom, you said?
Wisdom saving throw.
What's your spell save?
I have no idea.
Wisdom is +1, so 17.
Yeah,
So he makes a save. So Melcine, as you're going up, you kind of hear this brief
Oh, here it is.
chuckle in a bird-like squawk, and it kind of shakes its head and continues soaring upwards. That's
That's a
the end
good
of your
plan.
turn and
Good
movement.
plan.
Hold, you are up.
At the end of it. Oh man.
In front of me,
It's done that. thing.
well, underneath me, as the brains are going out, I get off the bird and I look at the firebird. I think it's a firebird. Fire Muffet.
Yep.
And how does it look to me right now?
It looks
Besides
like you need to roll
hot.
perception.
Besides hot.
Are you asking like if it's damaged?
Yeah, can I kill it? That's my question. 13.
The flames are licking off of it, but it doesn't look like it's a very vibrant burning. It's kind of in the air, but
Alright.
not quite like it's.
I'm just gonna run up to it fast.
Okay.
Oh, and on my way, I'm going to hold my arms out and look up to Helm and say a silent prayer for some healing.
Roll your attack.
I will in a moment. Let me heal before the fire explodes and kills me.
That's a big one there, huh?
Yeah. take a couple. That's all right.
Okay.
And I will punch it.
Yeah.
As
In the
I-
face.
In the middle of running, right in the face.
Nope.
Nope, you won't.
9.
That does not hit.
Left myself vulnerable.
Okay.
Enter.
All right.
Oh, I'm right next to it.
Right next to it.
Oh my gosh, I'm so
Yeah,
scared.
yeah, that sounds fine.
I'll catch you.
Okay. Rhaegar.
I'm gonna catch the beautiful damsel if she falls. By the way.
You're up.
Okay, so I am going to come out from the tree and run up to the corner of the house where Eli was.
Yep.
And fire at the big bird.
Okay. Don't worry about it, T. All right. Take your attack.
Yeah, it's going to hit.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
That
gonna
That
hit.
hits. Roll your damage.
He pulled a Matthew. It hits.
I didn't want to do the math, but I'm sorry.
Oh.
So that is an 8.
8. Okay.
Very unfortunate.
As the arrow sinks in, it kind of caws and but continues on. Okay, very good.
And the sun comes out.
And the sun breaks through the clouds. It's thankfully not next to any of the actual action, so we'll fix that for
I'm gonna move right
fix
into
that for
it.
next week.
No,
It is the enemy's turn.
I cast
Uh,
light.
as the methods swarm around you whole, just as they've been doing.
Oh, goodness. Help me.
They all make 2 with advantage, 1 normal. That's a 8.
Miss.
That was the normal attack. The 2 advantage attacks. That is a 19 and a 17.
Oh, nice.
And so they all get around you. They all get around
I
you.
can't help you right now.
The first one claws at you and just bounces off of your metal armor. The second, you get your shield up and block it. It has no room to attack you. The third claws at your back but cannot break through the heavy plating that exists. And Sola, you are up.
I don't see where I am on the board. I think
You are directly under Melcene and the Periton.
the bird.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, you're next to me.
I'm gonna move in flanking position to the mud thing. If I can get there.
You can
No,
you can just
the
get there.
brown one. The brown
That
one.
is the brown one.
The
Okay.
other one.
The other one.
The one closer to her.
Okay,
Yes.
Yeah, that one looks like whitish silver.
got it.
Sorry.
Got it. You're there.
Okay. I will then attack.
Make your
advantage.
attack with advantage.
Yeah.
Oh!
It's a 9.
Yes, it is.
15.
15.
Yes.
That hits.
Just barely. 5 plus 4, 9.
9 damage. All right. Very
And
good.
then unarmed. I'm gonna do like an uppercut,
Yeah.
or maybe just like the bridge of the nose. Like,
Very good.
14.
Hits. Roll your it explodes as you
Oh, nice.
slash through it and come through with an uppercut where you kind of spin in the air, Ryu style, and then land on your feet. It explodes in front of you. I need hold and I need Sola to make
Dex.
Dex saves.
Oh!
Nat 20!
20.
All right, you take no damage with the nat 20,
17.
and you take
All of the
2 damage.
I kind of do a little flip twist now that I've killed a couple of them. I know I'm expecting it, and
You know
as
how
soon
many
as
you're
I
killing, right?
as soon as I land, I do like a little
So
twist
that
right out of
one's
the way.
dead between them?
And
Just like that.
so she broke.
Oh, I broke!
Your foot breaks as you land.
No, I rolled a crit. It doesn't.
I will re-glue you later. All
Aww. Sola just has to like.
right.
I
Okay.
now do a worm.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Acrobatics.
Okay, very good.
Walk on my hands.
For performance.
And now it is Eli's turn.
Yeah, I'm going to diagonally run up to the other one that you thought she was trying to attack.
Okay,
If I can get into a flanking position, I will.
you can.
All right. I'm obviously in that movement. Will have stowed my crossbow, took out my sword.
Make your attack with advantage.
Nice.
I hit 16 plus stuff,
Roll your damage.
and I still have my elemental.
Yeah, you do.
Ooh, that's good. 10 plus 13.
13 damage.
Nice.
Okay.
Bless you.
As you slash through it, as you did with the other one, you cut through it with ease as the lightning crackles through it. You can actually see the mud kind of harden to stone before it just explodes in front of you. I need Hold, Eli, and Sola's out of the way. So
Now
Hold and
she's
Eli.
prone. Okay.
She's pro.
Hold and Eli, Dex saves, please. 3.
13.
13. You take 1 damage, you take 2 damage as the mud explodes out and coats you. Hold, you are also restrained as it gets into the joints of your body and you are just having a really hard time moving.
You're the Tin Man.
Only about a heart.
I can
Okay.
see
Need to
that.
be moved up.
Melsine, as you are being carried up in the air, what are you doing?
So, is there anything that looks sturdy on the ground?
I mean, there are tents. There's a cart.
Something that I can attach my whip to help pull me towards the ground.
You can try.
Jax does not look
we're
sturdy.
full. He's 400 pounds.
What's the range of your thorn whip? 30
Jax
feet.
is
30
like 90
feet.
pounds.
Nothing really within 30 feet, other than other people. Like
There's a guard over there.
Can I pull the guard up into?
yeah.
Help you kill it.
Fight it while you're in the air.
Yeah.
Can't you like bite it
You can, you can make a grapple check to break free.
and then she'd fall 30 feet? It's better than dying.
Well, that might kill her.
No,
Just saying,
because I
just
said
saying,
I'm
there
running
is a-
at her
there is a
and then
rule.
I kill you,
Here's-
Hannah.
Okay.
I'll
So
stop the fall.
how tall are these buildings too?
You're not really near any of the
Not in
buildings.
the building.
You're
I'm going
kind of in
like
the.
this
It's
underneath.
open
Fall
and
to me.
square.
Okay.
Yep.
Alright. I am going to see if I can break the grapple.
Okay. Roll your acrobatics or athletics, whichever one you would prefer to use.
Definitely
This
acrobatics.
isn't gonna go well.
Oh.
Yowza!
That would be a 3.
Yeah.
Did you roll a natural 1?
She did
She
it
may
me.
have.
Okay.
She may have.
None.
Perhaps.
Possibly.
None yet.
As it squeezes into you, you try to wriggle free, and it seems to tighten his grip. You take 5 piercing
What?
damage.
You anacondaed it. You
Are
breathed
you
in and then it
Because
tightened.
anaconda don't
Um,
want none.
And
my gosh.
Vincent, you're up.
Was that my action?
Come on, Vinny. Yeah, that's an action.
You took
Okay.
damage. How much more do you want to do?
Well, I have a bonus action.
To take more damage.
Yeah.
Bonus action and take more damage.
No, it's
You
okay.
can't use healing word on yourself, I don't
Yeah.
believe. Vincent,
The mud guy is dead, correct?
mud guys, yeah, you only see a fire method that remains.
Alright, and I assume I'm seeing Melsine getting taken away.
Correct. You see
Alright.
her. Yeah.
So, why don't we just aim a firebolt up towards
Yeah.
that
Roll
thing's
your
head?
attack.
Yes.
Right at its head. That's a 15.
15 hits.
Yes.
Roll your damage.
You going for the biggie?
Nah, that's a 6.
6.
That's a
Very
6.
good.
Are you sure it's not
As the firebolt.
It was a 9 last time.
As the firebolt expands on its back, you can see several feathers are burned and singed and fluttering off. That clearly did more damage than normal, than the other attacks have. As he continues to fly up, he goes to squeeze you tighter,
Of course.
and as he's in the process of doing so, the Griffin cavalry begin to descend.
Yes!
Thank goodness.
He rolls in.
And the first one slashes
Rod
across
says I can totally heal.
slashes across the breast of the creature, and you see another guy that looks farther away, like he's not going to get to you. And as he's flying in a dive, he actually jumps off of his mount, and he glides in towards you and slashes you as his mount flies underneath and catches him before he hits the ground.
This guy?
And flies
Don't
away.
link up with that guy.
Talk about a knight in
Glad I
shining
called
armor.
that guy.
Finally, another one comes by and slashes on the leg
Well met.
that you are being held by, and the grasp is loosed, and you begin to plummet. And as you do so, another Griffin cavalry flies by and catches you in its arms, and just sets you down.
Well, that was
Sets you down next to Jax.
amazing.
Having been pummeled by all these attacks, the Periton turns and just begins to fly away from the city as it's being harried by all of these Griffin cavalry, which are now, as you can see, there's only 2 other ones that are left, and they've essentially cut them all down.
Griffin cavalry. Eagles
That's
cavalry.
amazing.
All
The
right.
Eagles have landed.
And Morthos, you are up.
20. Unnatural.
That hits. Roll your damage with sneak attack.
Oh yeah, I should have told you. I wanted to actually move all the way up to him first.
Yeah. I'm gonna shank him from back here.
You can get to a flanking position.
Can I?
Shank on you?
So it was an advantage.
Yeah.
But
Spent some time.
That would be 13.
yeah, he explodes in front of you.
Yes!
I
I'm
need
so inspired.
I need
wanted to kill
Eli,
him.
Hold, and
Thanks, man.
Morthos to roll dex saves.
Oh, yeah, I'm
I have
good.
disadvantage,
Nat 20.
right? I'm restrained.
Correct. Not 20?
Yeah.
You take no damage.
24.
24, you take 2 damage.
6.
If you have a mirror?
6, you take 4 damage.
Oh!
As long as you can see yourself. Wait.
Like your hand?
Yeah.
Your foot?
As long as you can
Oh,
see
you
yourself,
made it.
you can heal and hurt yourself.
So can she always
I
heal
thought
and
you were
hurt
gonna
herself and
go
everyone
fun.
by like holding her hand in front of her face?
I'll look into it. I don't think you can healing words itself, but I'll check. I could very well be wrong. As the battlefield goes silent, but for the last couple of peritons in front of you, each one of you are pretty beaten, with the exception of Vincent, who would like to go on the tavern. And
High five.
Dude, I have like one
I'm like,
scratch.
this is easy,
I only got
guys.
3 hit points. Left?
So
no.
the
Total.
guards
You
that
remain?
you
I have
have,
7 left.
the guards
Yeah,
that
okay.
remain that have been fighting along your side, getting people out, they come up next to you and they tell you, thank you so much. Let's get the rest of the people out of here. Yeah, there are 2 temples, the hospice of St. Lapson and the Gallery of Light in the north. Let's get there quickly. And they are pushing you along as several people, some that are disheveled and very common looking, some that look more noble, some that are better dressed. It doesn't matter. They're all being shuffled to the same spot. You see a man in particular with a big floppy hat who's being accompanied by 2 guards as they're kind of carrying him. Several other guards are trying to lift the badly injured, and they ask you if any of you who are strong enough, please help us to carry the injured towards the Gallery of Light, which is the closer of the 2 temples. And I assume that you do so.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
I first put my hand on the shoulder. Thank you for your sacrifice, and I pick up someone and I
Okay.
run and grab someone else by the hand.
And as you aid and bring a bunch of people with you, you all spill into the Gallery of Light, and it is there that we will pick up our next session. Next Tuesday.
We made it!
And neither did your computer.
Who really
Very
made it was
good.
Vincent.
Yes.
1 HP.
He was
down.
drinking
Dakota,
milk.
would you please come out here and just maybe say our thank yous, give any information you would like before we shut it down for the night?
Taking a short rest or a long rest?
Is he
We're
on
not.
there?
We haven't gotten
Sure
up
is.
there yet.
Oh,
We just-
we're not.
Because
Well, I'm-
Dakota
I was gonna
is
say, 'cause
our
I have the
executive
medic-
producer on the production, and he's the one who is making this all work, and we're still trying to figure it out.
Appreciate
So stay with us. Have a seat.
Unless that pizza's for me.
I
The
told
pizza
them to
has
get it.
crab on it,
I
and
thought it did.
What?
it's really nice pizza.
I
And
don't think so. It smells like fish.
Wait, it
You don't
legitimately
get it.
has crab?
yeah, it has crab on it. You're more welcome to have some. So guys, thank you so much for watching. We really appreciate it. We put a lot of blood, sweat, tears, and anxiety into this. As we go on further, you'll notice that production does get better. We'll learn where better placement is. We appreciate in chat when you tell us if something is wrong. I try to take care of it as quick as I can, usually being by next session. As we're going forward, do realize that there's going to be mistakes. There's going to be mistakes with characters forgetting something, with the DM forgetting something, and myself. So feel free to say anything. It doesn't bother us. In fact, we encourage it. We also encourage that you can feel free to send us if you have figures, if you have character art as we're going on. We have an address. You can whisper "Loot Die Repeat" and I will send it to you. And we're hoping to get a PO box in the future. Next week we are going. This one here, mine. Next week we are going to be continuing the session where we left it off, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, barring no issues, at which 7:10 as you just saw. We're very excited that we could have you tonight. That was 13 followers just tonight alone. That's very exciting. We went from 74 views to over 120 views. So thank you guys so much. We really appreciate it, especially the people in chat that were talking.
Yeah,
Someone
talk
even
to us.
there was a bunch of people talking, and I get to reply to you all. It's so fantastic. People that sent links to things that they are doing via D&D. We are totally willing to have links underneath our channel for you if you do the same. Shout out to people that have hosted us, and just continue to stay up with us because we'll do the same with you because we respect you, and we want all of the nerds to feel comfortable with us and non-nerds. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask, and we will see you again next time this week.
All right, and thank you
so much.
very much to our friends at Sword Coast Soundscapes and Fantasy Realms for their amazing ambient sounds,
They were
which
great.
they gave to us, as well as the various artists who gave us permission to use their music. And we're going to have their YouTube channels linked when we post this up on YouTube, and they will be in the description. So thank you so much for that. Thank you for watching our inaugural session, and we hope to have many, many more with you as we grow together. So have a great night, and we'll see you next Tuesday as we continue to loot, die, and repeat.
Do-do-do-do-do-do.
That's right, says the Lord. Thank you all. Have a great night.
I had to make some
Cut that.
contribution.